morning, everyone. This is the Board of Selectmen's meeting at 6 o'clock on December 19th. And we are going to start the meeting with
What's the matter with it? Where's this thing? HDMI 1, that's it.
try your,
I had to plug it in directly into my computer because that wouldn't work on mine either.
there you go.
There it goes, okay.
So I was saying, after a couple technical difficulties, we're gonna, after opening the meeting, which is now, this meeting is being recorded and broadcasted via our local cable access channel, WCAT, Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in the audience is recording, please let us know. To get started, we're gonna do the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm gonna, before we start the, every item on our agenda, I wanna excuse myself. I have a family matter, but these two guys are here gonna take care of the meeting. Good luck.
You're leaving us.
Yeah, just for tonight.
Well, you're leaving so early now. All right, I'll jump over there now.
Be my guest. Thank you.
First time moving for me.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeremy Olson.
Haven't opened it up yet, Jeremy.
Oh, it's, sorry. I thought you guys kicked it off already.
No, we opened up the meeting.
Just
We
the
didn't
regular
open up
meeting.
hearing yet.
Oh, okay.
Not the hearing.
1 second.
All right.
My fault.
No problem. I can wait.
Sorry, cord got wrapped around the chair here. Okay. Okay, first of all, the meeting's being recorded via broadcast of local access net channel, WCAT 12, well, WCAT 6, Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in the audience is recording, please let us know. When you approach the podium, if you're gonna speak, please identify yourself by your full name and identify who you're with, or if you're with the town as a resident or not, okay? Okay. So in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 87, Public Shade Tree Law, Section 3, the Town of Warren Tree Warden will hold a public hearing regarding an application for National Grid to remove prune public shade trees in three-phase line. National Grid has identified 32 town-owned trees for removal along Southbridge Road and Southbridge Road Extension. Anticipated vote. Okay. So, Jeremy?
All right, good evening, everybody. I want to open up this tree hearing. It is 6:07 for National Grid to remove trees on Southbridge Road Extension and Southbridge Road. I'm going to quickly go through the tree list. I'll start with Southbridge Road Extension, and we'll see if anybody protests any of the trees being removed on Southbridge Extension, and then I'll move on to Southbridge Road. We'll start on Southbridge Road Extension, location 23-5. It is a 19-inch cherry. It's proximity for reason of cutting. Then we move on to 5-4, the 23-inch cottonwood trunk decay. We're gonna go to 4-3, which is a 32-inch white oak proximity. Then we're going to 2.5-2, a 34-inch sugar maple, again proximity. And then we're going to 2.5-2 again, a 40-inch sugar maple, also proximity. 2.5-2, 20-inch sugar maple, proximity. And then a 2.5-2 as well, 16-inch sugar maple in decline. 2.5-2, a 44-inch sugar maple, proximity. And then 2-1, a 24-inch sugar maple, proximity. And finally 2-1, 20-inch sugar maple, decline. And the last one on the Southbridge extension is 2-1, an elm, and it's 11-inch elm at proximity. This time, is there anybody that contests any of the removal of those trees? Seeing no contest, we'll accept those trees to be removed by National Grid. Moving on to Southbridge Road. Starting Southbridge Road between 165 and 164, 71-inch sugar maple in decay. Then we have pole 162-160, and between 161, it's a 26-inch hickory, it's proximity. Then we have another 162-161, a 20-inch hickory from proximity. We have pole 161-160, 21-inch hickory, proximity. Again, 161-160, a 14-inch hickory, also proximity. Then we have pole 158 and 157. There's a 20-inch hickory, also in proximity. Pole 157 and 156, there's a 32-inch red oak, proximity. And then pole 154-153, a 38-inch red oak, also proximity. Pole 154 to 153 as well, there's a 35-inch red oak, proximity. And then pole 154-153, a 21-inch red oak, also proximity. Then we have 154-153, a 39-inch red oak, also proximity. We have 154-153, a 26-inch white oak, proximity. Then we have pole 145 to 144, 31-inch red oak, proximity. And then I have 144 to 143, a 34-inch red oak, proximity. 144 to 143, 15-inch red oak, proximity. And then I have at pole 143, 19-inch hickory, proximity. Pole 143 to 142, a 28-inch red oak, proximity. Pole 142 to 141, 24-inch ash, proximity. Pole 142 to 141, 17-inch cottonwood, trunk decay. And then pole 141 to 140, a 9-inch red oak, proximity. And finally, pole 138 to 137, 34-inch spruce, decline. At this time, is there anyone who has any opposition to removing any of those trees? Just please, if you can identify the trees, that'd be helpful.
It's kind of hard, we didn't go up there and take pictures of every notice that where the trees are marked.
Was there specifically between certain poles?
Can you give us an address, sir?
So,
Because if you help us with that, then we know what tree you're talking
See,
about.
I just
You're
have
only going
lots.
by the telephone pole.
yeah, and that's the way
I would like
they
to know
identify
if
it.
you could, well, if you do identify what you do, you have a map of the exact tree. I've seen it before. Can we have copies so that we can look at what trees are being
So
taken
what
down?
type
They're-
of tree is it?
They're already
Well,
posted.
I understand that they're posted, but I wanna see them visually so everyone
Yeah.
understands exactly what's taken down. Sometimes you have trees that are 24-inch, perfectly healthy, a perfectly healthy tree, and maybe it needs a little bit of trimming. Why take the whole tree down? You people want to keep the country life. You want to keep that view. Well, if you take all your beautiful trees down, you're going to take away the canopy.
There's nothing like driving underneath
You know,
those trees in
let's
a
keep it
convertible
there.
or in a Harley with those trees hanging above you.
Here's an example. If you
know?
make it beautiful, you're gonna get more people in the town. They're gonna be driving these beautiful cars out here because they wanna go out to eat. They wanna have a nice restaurant. Well, if it's a lousy street where you took the beauty away, what are you doing? You're pushing us away, sir.
One tree or all the trees along that road?
All the
Objecting
trees
to
on
all the
my
healthy
properties.
trees that are on
Yes.
Southbridge Road. It's a
Yes.
beautiful road. I didn't move here because of people destroying the property. I moved here because it's beautiful. You've got farmland. I grew up in farmland. It's the most beautiful thing you wanna drive through. Don't destroy it, please.
We were told on
Perfectly
two
good
different
trees,
occasions, once by this fellow, that it was because of the gypsy moss and the possibility of them coming back. Tonight, we were told, or earlier today, it was because they're three-phase wires and that they supply Sturbridge,
or a lot of people
or a lot of people.
to,
So we're gonna cut down a healthy tree because the possibility of a gypsy moth coming back? They're all oak trees that he wants to cut down. What do gypsy moths target? Oak trees.
Okay.
We have a plan for
Another
that
thought.
property,
Put the
like,
power line underground. Mission accomplished. No more telephone poles. You got them underground.
can't have trees then,
Why not?
because you can't have tree roots growing in underground power lines.
Well, then that's an issue we'd have to work with that. How do we keep it beautiful? That's the bottom line. Let's keep warm.
So what's the purpose of the three-phase wire?
Gentlemen,
my name's
introduce
Solar.
yourself.
My name's Joseph King, Forestry Supervisor with National Grid. I'm the supervisor for the Hazard Tree Mitigation Program and the EVM programs. This circuit has been identified for work under the Enhanced Vegetation Management Program because it is a three-phase line that feeds a vast number of customers. It also serves critical infrastructure. So our goal with the EVM program is to enhance clearance on critical sections of three-phase power lines that serve a vast number of customers. So it goes a little bit beyond our standard spec, our standard pruning specification, which is 6 feet off the primary conductor and 10 feet above, 10 feet below. Our EVM specification is trying to achieve 8 feet of side clearance and 15 feet of overhead, 10 feet below. So at times, a lot of these trees, the decay factor or the defect factor was proximity. That's because to achieve that enhanced clearance, we would be pruning the trees in a way that would drastically affect their chance of survival. So I know a few different factors were mentioned today, the gypsy moth or proximity. Really, the goal is to make sure that we can maintain safe and reliable power to the residents of the town.
So what happens if you don't go to three-phase and you maintain what we have already now?
It's currently three-phase.
It
Okay,
is.
There's no line enhancement, no pole replacement. This is just to maintain what's existing. And again, this circuit was selected because in the past 5 years, there have been 91 tree-related outages on this circuit. And it doesn't supply Sturbridge, it's fed from Sturbridge. So the circuit comes out of Sturbridge and runs through Brimfield and Warren. So we've been working this whole circuit to try to improve reliability on this particular circuit because it's in the bottom 10% of circuit reliability in the state of Massachusetts.
Okay. And am I correct in Southbridge Road is a scenic road?
It is.
Okay. So, do you have any questions?
no, not right now.
I have a question, because he talked about enhanced clearance.
Please
That's beyond-
identify who you
Oh,
are.
My name is
please.
Brian O'Shea, I'm also a
And if you
town
can just come up to the podium, please, thank you.
He mentioned that was an enhanced clearance.
who
I'm
are
sorry,
you?
my name is Brian O'Shea, I'm a resident of the town.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We talked about clearance that was beyond what's normal. He talked about enhanced clearance. So why don't we just stick with what's normal? And how many of these trees are enhanced versus what would be considered the standard? And then also, the gypsy moths, the only predator to the gypsy moth is water. So whether we have an outbreak of gypsy moths or we don't is determined by how much rain we have. And there's a virus that in damp and humid weather kills the gypsy moths. So if we have a drought, then you're gonna have gypsy moths. If there's no drought, you don't have any problems with the gypsy moths. And the trees don't have anything to do with that.
Did anybody else have any comments?
Sorry, Rob.
Yes, ma'am.
Stephanie Sears, a resident. So I guess my thing would be if it is a proximity issue, I just want to know more specifically in that 5 years, broken down the power outages, because we live right in the section 2090, and in the first 2 to 3 years we lived there, you could literally like sneeze and the power would go out, like no joke. The power was always going out constantly, constantly. Now, it seems as though every tree limb, every line that could be broken, every pole that could be snapped, anything that was weak, damaged, whatever, easily able to come down, has come down, because in the last several years, we have, knock on wood, barely lost our power, right? Like,
It was all the time.
it was all the time. Okay, so it's barely ever happening anymore. So my thing would be to, if, you know, the next step would be, can we get something a little more detailed, like, say in the last 2 years, and in, you know, that scope of time, how many outages have there been specifically related to that line? And in those outages, how many customers is it affecting when it happens specifically, you know? And again, yeah, is it really worth the enhanced over-the-top measure just as an extra preventative for something that isn't even happening yet, or isn't even a problem?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Sir, can you add on to that? Can you tell us how many were in the past 2 years? Or last year and the year before?
So I don't have that information, that specific information going over the past 2-year time frame. But what I can say is that, again, this circuit was in the bottom 10% for reliability last year. That's why it was selected for this program. We do not want to cut down trees that we don't have to. We are an electric company. We just want to make sure that we can provide safe power to our customers and your residents. I'm a board-certified master arborist through the International Society of Arboriculture. Ryan Kress, the assessor for this program, is also a certified arborist. So again, we're doing a tree-by-tree assessment, and we don't want to cut down trees that we don't have to, or that we don't feel pose a significant enough risk.
Okay, and to clarify, is this in any part to do anything with solar?
100% no.
Okay, because that's been brought up a few times, and if they're just existing lines, you're not adding any new lines, you're not creating anything new.
This is strictly to maintain what is existing. We're not doing any new construction, any add-ons, any enhancements at this time.
And what would the non-enhanced tree pruning be?
So our standard maintenance cycle is every 5 to 7 years, and again, that's that 6 feet of clearance off the primary conductor, 10 feet above and below. And that is done on a cycle-based pruning. So every circuit on our system gets pruned in a 5 to 7 year rotation. It's like cutting the grass. That's something we have to do. Again, this circuit was selected because of the poor reliability over the past length of time.
So this meeting is because it's enhanced pruning
This
and removal?
meeting is because, basically yes, but also because it's a scenic road and we have identified trees that we would like to remove.
And the enhanced is 8 feet off and 15 above and below?
Correct. And in order to make a proper pruning cut or prune back to something that can sustain life, sometimes that means that we don't have an option but to remove the tree if we can't make a proper cut to achieve that clearance. Sometimes that also means that we go a little bit beyond that 8 feet to make a proper cut. So we're not just cutting a box 8 and 15. We're making proper arboricultural decisions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to add? Any comments, concerns?
My name's Ryan Kress. I'm the arborist that did all of the walking and surveying of all of the trees. So specifically through Southbridge Road, a lot of the trees in those areas that are being talked about, they're only a few feet off of the lines. In fact, one of the trees, although it's private, the stone wall is in such a way, the tree is actually further up the road, it's private, but it's actually burning on the lines, but it's because the stone wall and the power lines are so close together. But that's further up the street from their property. And you can see we've actually put up like a rubberized, like, it's not really insulated area, but like a barrier from the tree. And that's up in the orchard area. A lot of this stuff is just because everything's so overhanging over the three-phase lines. that literally you get windstorms and everything else, you get branches and stuff that come down. Not too long ago, there was a hickory tree that had lost a limb, and was dangling off the lines. We had to send tree crews to, and that was just down the street from them on their neighbor's property. So a lot of this clearance is kind of work that's been needing to be done, but kind of hasn't really been done because the trees are larger, and because that area has also been a pain for the tree crews to do work in. There's been a lot of refusals for year after year after year in those areas on that road. So a lot of the maintenance that would need to be done and should have been carried out never was due to customer refusals in the past. So that's part of the reason why that area looks the way it does now, is because a lot of the work wasn't allowed to be done. So there's a lot of trees in that area that have grown into the area that's specifically supposed to be meant for the lines. And that's caused a lot of the tree-related issues that we see. Because of all the overhang, anything that falls off of those trees, the lines are literally the only target right there. They hit them every time, basically. It's not like the lines take a vacation and move, so it's less of an issue of like when you're driving a car down the road, stuff like that. Probably not going to get whacked by a dead limb or a live limb that snaps off in a storm, but the lines always are there to take the brunt of it. So that's what they're having us come through to try and clear out. We're also doing some of the ground cutting and stuff down through there while we're doing this trimming and removals. A lot of that's been refused over the years. Even some of the species that kind of are more allowable under the lines in the past, those customers have refused to allow us to do work on those properties. And now those trees are literally 1 to 2 feet from the 14,000 volt conductors. They're pear trees that we normally would prune, and keep them at a lower height, but we haven't been allowed to for years and years, probably decades at this point. And so those are actually going to need to be removed when we do our ground cutting.
That's part of this tree hearing?
Correct. So that's under the brush removal permit that I had given to the tree warden when I first came into town. And that's more up, just a little north of the area that they live in. So the trees he's speaking of are about pole 154 to 153. They've put in a Christmas tree plantation, correct?
Christmas tree farm,
Yeah.
Thank you, yes.
Is that your farm?
yes.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that when I was up
Yeah.
there.
So they have like a little driveway that comes in with a stone wall. Stone wall's a little bit back from the road, probably, 6, 8 feet or so.
At least, I'd say at least 8.
A full
Maybe-
truck length,
maybe
I can
10,
fit my truck in
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's
It
probably 12
moves.
feet.
Okay,
It
so it might be over for that,
constantly
I was
varies.
thinking. And the oak trees are like down in front of the stone wall in that area, right along the lines. They're probably like 2, 3 feet off of the power lines. In various states of health, some of them really need to be pruned out really well. But if we come through and we do our pruning, because of where they are and they're so close to
You
the
wanna
power
use the map,
lines.
it's right there.
Well, I was,
We'll go down Cronin Road is where we're talking, right, that region down by the high
Here?
tension line. Yeah, that, you're at Breeze and Orchards right there.
Right after the tensions.
So, yeah, they're right there, there's the high tension lines coming across.
That's-
So it'd
yeah.
be this area right here, by the D and south, southward.
Yep.
Right about there.
Yep,
So it'd be this area here, I think that's their entrance road right there, so it'd be these trees right here.
right in,
yep.
okay.
And,
So they'd remove all the trees from the front of their property?
All of
correct.
them.
Yeah, that's what we were
They're
looking at
not
doing.
up for trimming, they're
Yes.
for removal.
Yeah, because by the time we're basically, if we were to trim those out to spec, to clean everything out and get everything away from the lines, the trees themselves are so close to the power lines that you can't really do it.
So why don't you just put the power lines in the ground?
Can't have the trees there. Are you gonna put the power lines
it
in the
in the
road,
road.
or are you going to?
Put it in the road. Put the line in the road,
Then you gotta dig up the
going along
road.
the road.
Your town could petition
No.
National Grid to do so, but that's usually something the towns end up having to pay for. Some towns have
It's a
put
huge
line
amount of
underground.
money.
It's
Massive.
a
I know,
lot of
but I'm
money,
like-
it's a
Massive
lot of
amounts
digging.
money.
It's over $1 Only million do it from once. Upper Mont.
Yeah.
Only do it once.
I was gonna say, how much money do you
And then-
spend on cutting trees down?
But when there's a problem, when there's a fault, how long does it take to restore power if there's an underground fault, where you have to dig up the road?
How
and
often
find it?
are there faults?
I mean, that's not something I have stats
And
on.
doesn't that have a sensor to tell you where
So
the
you
fault
gotta,
is?
you gotta
from a
address
certain
questions
point?
to the chair of the
Probably
board.
miles apart.
Gentlemen, you gotta address the questions to the chair of the board. So ask me the question,
Okay.
and I'll have it answered for you, okay?
So to kind of answer that question a little bit. So for underground, what we've found to be problems in towns where we've allowed and buried line for towns is, A, people don't listen. We did one town specifically for a city beautification project, kind of in central Mass. And when we buried the lines, they didn't have us bury them in the roads because obviously it was the middle of their town. They didn't want to stop traffic and all of that. So we buried them off the side of the road, and we explicitly told the town you can't plant trees there because you can't have tree root infiltration into 14,000 volts plus electricity, you know what I mean? So we came back, I don't remember how many months or maybe a year later, and right on top of where we had buried the line, a whole lot of trees. So we had to have them actually petition to have them remove all of that work, told them that, you know, reminding them that it was, you know, the work was conditioned on not having trees there. The other issue that you have is people who decide to dig without calling dig safe. And we've had plenty of times where if you look at the news, you can pull the stuff up, where we've had backhoes pull up main line. Either single-phase primary or even three-phase primary, where a backhoe's pulled it up, backhoe's set on fire, a person either nearly escapes with their life or every once in a while, unfortunately, doesn't. So there's a lot of hazards that come with the lines being buried also, on top of it being very expensive to do. Also, this is New England. Anytime you leave stuff unmowed, it goes straight to forest. So we've also had incidents where we've buried line that goes up to projects where whole communities are kind of being built like up on a hill. And then the town decides they want to put new water pipes in to feed those communities. And nobody can figure out where the lines were buried because it's now forest, even though they were supposed to maintain it. And then you have to play with the game of, okay, where are the power lines? And even dig safe sometimes can't find them because things have changed so much at that point. That was actually one incident where the three-phase was pulled up. And I don't remember if that was Massachusetts or Rhode Island off the top of my head.
Okay, so it's very expensive.
It's very expensive, it's a very arduous process, and unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily change any of these same problems, because you still have issues of tree infiltration, but this time by roots instead of.
Yeah, but if you put them in the middle of a road.
So ISA has, because we're ISA certified arborists, arborists are supposed to explain right tree, right place. It is actually, you know, kind of ISA doctrine to do so. It basically is you plant the correct trees for the location that you're planting. None of the trees that we have picked under ISA rules for us being able to plant trees or even suggest plant trees, none of these trees are in places where they would be suggested to be planted. They're all too close to power lines, or too close to infrastructure. You wouldn't
A
want
lot of those trees were there before houses and roads were even there.
So long before all these.
some
rules
of
were put in
them, some
place.
not. People way over mistake how old trees are. It's a constant, and I find it a ton in my work that people will overestimate the age of a tree by a lot. In Rhode Island, I had an arborist estimating a tree that was about 70-something inches in diameter, saying it was like a 150-plus-year-old tree, and it was like 80 years old, 90 years old. It was a catalpa. So, and we knew that tree wasn't there because we had pictures of the house in like the 1930s with apple trees sitting in front of it instead of the tree, so. So we knew approximately the age of that tree based on what the homeowner had for pictures. So it kind of comes down to, the infrastructure there isn't the newest. It may have been single phase at some point, you know, because as you get more residents on stuff, you know, you have to pump up the voltage for houses. And as more and more people in the community electrify more and more, get to EVs, which, you know, Massachusetts is talking about getting rid of combustion vehicles. At that point, you're going to have to clear out lines this good or better just to keep everybody's power up and running so they can drive to wherever they need to go or run their houses, everything else. So a lot of this is in response to potential environmental goals in the the
You're not selling me on that point.
It's not something I'm looking to
Cutting
necessarily
trees
sell you
down to
on,
make
but,
things better is not selling me.
for us, it is an issue of outages. If your power is out, you can't charge your vehicle, can't heat your house.
I got a gas vehicle.
You know.
My vehicle will always have gas in it.
Yeah, for however long they allow us to, yes.
Yeah, well,
So,
I'll always have a gas vehicle.
yeah,
And I respect that point, sir, but if I just may, you know, looking up some of these poll numbers, so poll number 154 in particular looks like it was set in 1967. So those polls have been there for a long time. And like Ryan alluded to, maybe it was single phase at one point, and we did over the years, have to put in a three-phase power line, so we have a bigger footprint. But those poles and wires have been there for decades. So
My issue with it is it's a scenic road and people move here because of that, and they want the rural landscape around them. And every time we cut down these beautiful trees, it takes away a piece of our town and what people move here for. And I don't like to arbitrarily approve things because it's easier for a company like National Grid if there's other resources or other ways of doing it. You know, again, I'd like to see more data on what has happened in the past 2 years. Because yes, we have had some serious ice storms in the past, and all our power lines, all through the towns, were hit. And that happens. It's New England, okay? We deal with these things. It's who we are, we accept that, okay? That's why we live here. And I don't hear too many people getting upset about the ice storms because they live here. They know what it is. It is what it is, okay? It's a problem for National Grid because you gotta send crews up there and it costs you money. But it's still, we accept it. We know what it is. You know, I'd like to know more on how many of those trees that you identified are actually diseased, that are dying, that have to come down. Do we know how many?
If I got it too, sir, I'll hire an arborist to look at them. You know, I'm willing to do that.
there were 6 trees on this list that were in either trunk decay, decline, trunk decay, decline. So of this list, 6 were in various forms of decline.
And do we know where those are?
We have them identified on the list, yes.
Yes.
Can you show us where they are?
So if I work backwards, let's see, if you wanna go
Towards Breezeland.
back towards Breezeland, so it'll be easier to work backwards since we're already right here.
There's the house.
Alright, so there's the house. That's where they removed the spruce. I think that tree right there, I think it is. I
Yep.
think that tree right there is the big spruce. So it's been getting hit by needlecast disease over and over and over again. It's got maybe at most a third to not quite half of its needles left. It's pretty barren. I'll show you a picture if you'd like.
So before we go through all these, can we veto trees on the list?
Sure, your community, your town, I mean, they're your
It's up to
trees.
you guys now. Once they protest these trees, it becomes your decision and not mine.
Well, so
Which
here's
is why
my,
we're here.
okay, so here's my thought. There's a subset of people on the road who are not really willing
Right.
to have this done, but no one, I mean, no one from Breezelands is here, no one from other areas.
I understand if the tree's sick, that's a different story. These trees in front of my house are all healthy trees.
With that said, would you guys be willing to concede to the deceased trees that are dying
Yeah,
Could,
could we,
to be
could we
removed for
be,
safety?
could we have a second opinion done?
or can
Well,
we,
Or do we have to
decide-
s-
We have to do this meeting tonight.
or can, where are those trees that are
They're
diseased?
spread out.
Are there any on my property?
No.
No, yours are
Oh.
all mostly proximity for the most part. They're trees that if somebody really wanted to spend a lot of time and money on, clean them out, but you'd have to clean them out pretty periodically, because you're getting a lot of breakage in a lot of them, for limbs and such, which would need to get cleaned out, because the only place for those to fall is pretty much where the power lines are. If we go through and we trim them out the way we're supposed to trim them out, based on spec and regulations, et cetera, then those trees are too close to the power lines, which is why we're asking to remove them, because there isn't a trim option for us to take care of.
I mean, did Mark have a problem with it when you went to the farm? Did he sign the papers for you to remove them, or?
Mark did not, however, the people he leases most of his land from, they're fine with it. They've sent their paperwork
There you
in.
go.
They're the farmers from New York. Their last name starts with V, I think it was Vinton.
Vale,
Vale.
Yeah.
Thank
it's
you.
Vale.
Yeah.
So those two brothers, they were okay with us doing the work. On Mark's property specifically, he doesn't want us to do the work on his property. One of the things I was going to actually talk about was, he had asked that there's a large sugar maple,
It's very large.
and it is pretty rotted out. So he understands
one
why we want to
diseased?
It's
remove
right
it.
after his dairy farm, before Cronin Road, on the same side as the
He doesn't
farm.
own a dairy
And it's-
farm.
It's the town tree, but I'd say a good 50% of it absolutely has to be removed.
Would you like to see the picture?
The back half is still
Well,
relatively
it's-
healthy, but the tree would be extremely lopsided if you remove everything.
I was talking about Mark from Breezelands. I didn't know you were talking about Roger.
Rod,
Oh,
she's talking
yeah.
about Rod.
That's Rogers Farm tree.
Yeah, Will Roger.
Yeah.
And Will Rogers was okay with that?
That's the one tree he asked if we could just literally cut half the tree down and then leave the back half leaning out over his hay that he has stored there, which to me is like, it's going to look terrible. So I don't understand what the saving grace is there. I mean, if it's gonna fall, it's gonna make it weaken even more, and then we are gonna have to pay to take care of this in a few years.
Well, plus it's gonna fall on his stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, but we still have to clean it up when it takes out all his hay bales and everything.
Right,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so his request was basically that remove this lead here that's all rotted out, as well as this lead which is over the road and the lines. If I zoom out, you can see the power lines was right under it. So he wanted to know if the town could just have us remove this side and leave the rest. I did discuss that with the tree warden. He doesn't think it's a good idea, because it's right over where he stores his hail bays, as you can see, they're right underneath there. So anything that falls off there is gonna be falling into his hail bays. So one of the things you might want to do is maybe have him sign off on the tree for any damages or cause you guys aren't responsible, or something along those lines, if you decide to go that route. Or, as he mentioned, once this is taken care of, then there'd be no reason for the utilities to ever get involved again. So from that point on, that would be your guys' issue to deal with. That wouldn't be something that National Grid would have to come back to do anything on. So we could.
But is
move-
that tree marked as one of the 6 that are dead or dying?
That
I
is,
think it was,
Tree number 12,
yeah, decay.
okay,
It is marked for decay. That one, like I said, that one, we stood there and we looked at all the different options for probably a good 20 minutes just on that tree. And at the end of it, I was like, it's gonna be our problem very quickly. And you have to remember, we only have $25,000 a year to cut trees all across town. And $25,000 does not go very far. We stretch it because the highway department does a lot of the labor. So we're able to get a few extra in each time we hire a company to come in and help us. But again, that's gonna chew a nice little chunk that I just don't see. It's not a good investment for us, because the tree's not gonna be left looking like anything, a beautiful New England tree that you would think. It's gonna be very lopsided. It's gonna still have a massive trunk, but now it's gonna be open for more disease as you pruned off all of that dead stuff. So to me, I feel like I would love to save that tree, but
I
it's
like
just
that
not
tree.
worth. I love that tree, I do.
Right,
Until
I
I
never
cleaned
all the
up last
time, and I
storm,
like
we
that
did
tree.
clean a few branches out of the road on that one too.
I'm gonna say, if it falls in his property, I don't think Roger's calling you for help.
You know him, Will, he doesn't, he
Yeah,
ain't
no.
calling you.
Nope. He'll
They'll
burn
turn it
it
to
or
firewood to
something.
heat his house.
Exactly.
Going in the shed out front.
Anybody else have anything to add?
Yeah, go up there, go
Any
ahead.
other objections, anything?
Can I add one last thing?
Yes, ma'am, come on up.
All right. So I wasn't gonna, but I guess just based off of where you were saying, what you were saying about people don't come to Warren and you're driving down the road to like see all the trees chopped down, and we like seeing this beautiful town, and I don't know if you know, but we did 5 years ago, I think.
This will be our 4th year coming up.
So this will be our 4th year. Every spring, we hand plant 750 Christmas trees up there. And those trees that they want to take down are lining the whole front, not only of like our house, that's the only trees we have up there, but our Christmas tree farm, and that was like based upon buying our house, the vision of having within like hopefully 4 to 5 years, like an awesome place for people not only in this town, but all the surrounding towns to come. We're gonna build like a little shed up there, like hot cocoa, coffee, wreath making classes, like,
Yeah, you
it's
guys
gonna be
got
like.
quite a thing going over there.
We're
I've
doing
been
like,
watching you.
we're
You're
doing a
doing
lot,
awesome. You're doing a
like,
good job.
we just put in a farm stand down bottom, we're gonna be getting like ready, like, I've got the paperwork to get that going and open that, like, we have a vision, we're trying to like bring it to the town, change it, and those trees, like I was telling you, that's like where our sign, like, I have a vision for like a big, huge curved sign, like Merry Christmas to go up, like, Merry Christmas, we still say that, like, over our property for people to come and get their trees, and like, that's just, like, I know it sounds crazy, like, oh, you're gonna ruin our Christmas tree farm, but like, that was part of the reason we bought this property and moved here, and it's gonna like change everything. So, that's like my last emotional plea. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, so the residents, so there's 3 different, well, but.
So
two-
Steph and I own 2090 Southbridge Road. My dad just came to put his, because he's a town, he lives in the town.
Oh, okay.
This is my neighbor here.
He's 2120, he's right
Yes.
down,
Okay, so
right
there's
next to
2
us.
residents, or
On
residences
Southbridge Road.
on Southbridge
Correct.
Road.
And Mr. Rogers, I believe, is the next parcel.
Yep.
Right,
And then
but
Will
you're-
Rogers is down the hill, right
Right,
on the
but he's
corner
not
of Weber.
He's
here.
not here.
He's not
He's not
here.
here.
Nope.
Who's here?
So now,
not
I'm
here.
just wondering, because you're here to object, which is fine, so would you be willing to do your own pruning then, to take care of these? Do you understand the problem? Could you find somebody to maybe try to prune the trees?
I own a 60-foot bucket
We own a
truck.
tree
You
truck.
have to have EHAP certification
Yeah.
to work around power lines.
Okay,
Alright.
all right.
You, that's a very,
So-
very important thing.
So-
What needs to be trimmed on, like, I thought you
And
just
it's
said
town
that it's
property, too. They
unhealthy
have
for the
have
tree
all
to
the
trim
proper
it.
insurance and everything to even
No,
touch those
not
trees
properly
because
trained.
it's town
No
property.
way.
No, it's a big deal to let somebody cut town trees, you just have to make sure that
I don't wanna cut
company they're
them, period.
hiring has all the certifications and all the insurance, that it would be okay if we hired them. But now the resident would pay them to do the job, and I still have to sign off on it.
And so tell me again, how does town property work? You're off the
So-
center of the
So
road?
no, absolutely not. The right of way varies in every single place. So
Okay.
the right of way on Southbridge Road goes from as narrow as, I believe it's like 60 feet in some places, up to almost 100 feet wide in other places. So it's
I used
one
to
of the
35
wider roads
in
in
the
town.
hallway.
Most people would not realize that we own the majority of your front yard if you live on Southbridge Road. Because the road is very wide. So, and again, so if you draw a property map, draw a line, and go straight up in the air. If it's on your side of the line, Massachusetts law allows you to cut your branches. As soon as you cross that line into your neighbor's property, or in this case, the town's property, absolutely not, you cannot touch them. So it has to be through my permission, through a qualified, certified company, with all the right insurance and everything included, which is very expensive, because that's what we have to pay for.
I have insurance, man.
It's
I know
not-
how
it's
expensive
not
it
even
is.
close to the
Got,
same
I
thing.
got 8 different insurance policies.
When you're dealing with power lines, it's a whole different, there's only a handful of companies around that can even do that work. Because when we go out to look for companies, there's only a few that ever respond. Because the big companies work for National Grid, not us. So it's a little different when you're dealing with those type of trees, but they're more than welcome. If they wanna find a company, I can even recommend a few that I know are certified, and have them come in and prune the trees. I would sign off on that, but they're paying the bill, not us.
Why would
And
I
you
have
just
to
want it
pay
to
the
be a
bill? You wanna
qualified-
pay to cut them
Because
down.
I would allow National Grid to prune them in that case, and because the town can't afford
You're
to
sitting
do
here
it.
saying that you wanna pay the bill to cut them down?
No,
But you won't pay to
I'm saying
trim
is
them.
I would
So-
allow National
We
Grid
gotta
to pay for
direct
it.
anything to the chair. Okay, so when you have questions, bring them up to me, and I'll give you opportunity to speak.
I
think
just
I've
feel
been
like
more-
he's on
I think
their
I've been more
side.
than fair to everybody here, okay? Do you have anything else, Mr.
No,
Wilson?
no, this is, unfortunately, it's up to you guys.
Right. Anything else?
I don't think so. I mean,
Sir, do you have a comment now?
No, I just, like, those trees border my entire property. You say you guys have, a plan to trim the trees every 5 to 7 years? Why'd you let the trees grow in the first place then? If they were a problem, why did you let them get so big?
So,
You told me out of your mouth that it was because of the gypsy moths. You were worried that they would come back. Why are we gonna cut down a healthy tree of the possibility of a bug coming back? That's not your property. That's my
Or
property.
Possibility of an ice
Town
storm.
property.
Oh, okay, so the
So-
town
so,
owns the
sir.
road.
Sir, when you're directing the questions directed to me, please.
So the town, I guess it's town property, right? It's on my side of the stone wall, like Stephanie said, that's like been our vision, that borders our whole property. It's absolutely gorgeous. These trees are massive. I don't know exactly how old they are, but I guarantee you they're older than anyone in this room. Why are we just gonna go through and slaughter them all? I'm not against tree cutting, like, if the tree's unhealthy, if it's a hazard to somebody or something, that's a totally different story. We're gonna go through and kill all these healthy trees.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything to add?
I do not.
No, sir.
Hi, I'm Jeff Blaze. I just would like to know, I'm still stuck in this food thing, we'll keep that in mind, but I understand just taking away the trees, they're absolutely dead, I understand that, but don't take a healthy tree away, that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, thank you. Anybody else?
Could we clarify who's paying for the work, since who's directing that, as if the town was going to be paying for this?
If you feel.
Well, we're National Grid's paying for all this.
Yeah.
Yes, and I
National
understand
Grid's
that.
paying for this, but if we object to it and
Right.
there's issues with it
That's
later
what I
on,
was-
then it would be an issue for the town to deal with, for the tree. Unless it's on private property, and then it's yours. But determining that, you'd have to go through Jeremy Olson to find out where your property line actually is. Because even though you have a beautiful stone wall and a beautiful frontage with a bunch of grass, that might belong to the town. You have to clarify where the road, town's property is. And that Jeremy could help you with. I have a beautiful stone wall and beautiful trees in my yard too, and I would never want them to go away. But again, I do believe my stone wall is on town property.
It definitely
This just,
You're not taking my stone
is.
wall.
Sorry. When we widen your road, maybe.
No. I like my nice dirt road.
it all has to do with solar though, sir. These are all three-phase
Well, we-
wires that
They made
power
it
a
very
solar.
clear This has nothing to do with the solar. They're already pre-existing lines. They're not adding something or,
Why are they three-phase then?
Because you need that much power to run the orchard.
Direct questions through the chairman,
I'm sorry.
and
Uh,
that, we've discussed that.
yeah, the orchard requires three-phase power down at the end, so that's why there's three-phase running up that road.
and that was run.
Because the
years ago.
solar field next to the
Well, that
orchard?
was run years ago. Again, we're beyond that, it's there. It's not like they could take it out now. It's already existing. That was voted on in the past, a long time ago, to allow, and we're beyond that. We're looking at what the trees are right now, and what you guys are objecting to, and we'll listen to everything you both parties are saying. So, and I think we've always been very fair over the years on what it is. So, if anybody has anything else, please say it now. If not, we're gonna move on. Okay. My concern is, it's a scenic road. I would hate to see healthy trees cut down. Dead and decaying trees, the 6 trees, right, you identified, although I would hate to see the one that by Will Rogers' farm go. Mr. Rogers is not here to say anything about it or oppose that tree, and I trust your judgment as our tree warding to say that that tree is no longer healthy anymore. So I'd be willing to say and approve the 6 trees,
Yeah, definitely.
but the others I would not approve because it is a scenic road, and I think that value needs to maintain throughout our town and community. And every tree we lose takes another 80 years for it to grow again. And it's not a problem right now, although it may be a problem years from now. Well, if it gets diseased and sick in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll address it then. But right now, I feel all the healthy trees should remain, and the 6 trees that are diseased could be removed.
Can I ask for clarification on the tree, just so I know what we're doing? So we have one of the trees on the list that's perfectly healthy, this small tree, oak tree, planted, probably planted directly underneath the lines, because the orchard plants a lot of trees even on the town property, because they told me that's where they planted them, and they've stated they planted most of these trees themselves. But as you can see, there's no room between the rock wall, the pole, and the road there for a tree. If you say we can't cut healthy trees, I can't cut that, it's just, when we come through to trim, I mean, we're just gonna top it out, that's not healthy for a tree.
Can you bring it closer, just?
Is it okay if we remove that, or no? Because that's just a little too big for what we consider ground cutting, which would be removal of saplings within the right away through there, underneath the lines.
No, my feeling is if you prune it away from the lines and the tree dies, that's on the owner. They planted it there.
There's no pruning, it's literally wrapped around our pole. The growth for the tree is literally wrapped around the telephone pole. It's only a couple of feet off of the pole. There's literally like this much room between the pole and the stone wall. The tree is planted like right up against the stone wall. There's not really a lot of room there.
Okay, so one thing, are there other trees like this?
Yes, there are,
Because well, just, you
You're
don't have to
getting down a
go.
slippery slope, because now you're gonna go from tree to tree to tree and point out something with every single tree.
Well, but what we could do, we could continue this hearing and get photos of these trees, and we could say, we know we're gonna do the 6, and then once, I mean, that seems like a good candidate. If we're gonna pick this apart, let's just do it then, and we'll go through, and a tree like that should go. But then a big tree like on their land, we'll say no. But I'd like to see, I mean, all we have is just the notice. There's
Right.
no, I mean, in the past, one time we got a bunch of pictures and a better description, so, that would help.
Yeah, I would like to see
So we revisit
the
this,
trees.
you know, in a
We
couple
can vote
weeks.
to approve the 6 tonight
Yeah, I mean,
and continue the rest.
yeah,
But, if you guys don't have a really good reason to take these trees down, I'm not gonna be voting in favor for something like that, because it is a scenic road, and we take that value to heart, and we wanna preserve that. That is our town, and I really don't care about your power lines, and I don't care about people's electric cars, cause I'm never gonna own one, all right? It's New England, all right? They don't work here.
trees do
So-
need space to grow though, and if you plant one directly underneath 14,000 volts of electricity, there's really no room for
Well,
it.
sometimes a seed
How would
falls
you-
where a seed falls and it grows.
Yes, we're still required to remove a lot of those, so that's why I'm getting clarification, because with that,
Sometimes
is
nature
that,
makes its way and says, hey, a tree's gonna grow here. And it doesn't
So
mean a
you-
person went over there and planted that tree and dug up a hole and put a tree right there under your power line.
but wouldn't,
Sometimes
so,
it's just nature.
just clarification, at this time, you don't want us to do any of the ground cutting we would normally do, is this correct? Just so I know what to.
No, you're gonna show us pictures, because we're gonna continue that, and we'll approve
the 6.
upon the vote, the 6 decaying trees that are identified that are a problem. We'll approve those.
Okay,
And then the
but
rest we're gonna do.
The rest, we
We'll
wanna
take a look.
review tree by tree, we wanna see the pictures, and why you wanna take that tree down. And, you know, again, it's a scenic road. We wanna preserve that scenic look. And I don't care about your power lines, okay? Work around them, all right? So, do you have anything else?
Nope, that was just my question. I needed to know what we were allowed to do and what we weren't, so I knew what to have him sign off on.
You can take
So
the six.
brush cutting, right? We're fine with the low stuff,
Well,
right?
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So
8-inch and
our,
below.
our brush cutting is anything 8 inches in diameter and below. So that would include a tree that's about that big around.
How far in?
8 feet off, but it'd be, you know, for your purposes, it'd be on town property. We permission the stuff with the private owners also. If we get permission from that, we do the work on their property. If not, we only do what's on the town property.
I don't have a problem with that, because if you're doing that,
Oh,
then you're
8
gonna
inches.
prevent the little trees from coming up. So I think you have to do that.
Well, hold on here. How big's that tree?
So that one, I think, was like 9 or 10 inches,
That's
if I remember
9
correctly.
inches. 9, that's just above
Yeah. So
pruning
just over the-
standards, so they,
over the
that
border.
had to be on the hearing.
Yeah.
Anything 8 inches or less is considered brush. So,
And on Southbridge Road, you're not worried about 8-inch trees. You're worried about big
Mature trees.
30
That only
inch.
affected, I think, the lower part. Down, if I'm correct, right? I don't even think we had any clearing
For your part, maybe down along the lower part towards the
think it
house,
was
there might have been some.
just
if I remember
down there,
correctly.
yeah. And I didn't, that wasn't a problem, right? You didn't care about that. That's down by where the first orchard is, where all that brush is.
Yeah,
in the-
underneath the power lines in between those two driveways.
Between our
Yeah,
second driveway
that's
and the
fine.
farm
And
stand,
about,
yeah.
about 8 feet off the lines.
Yeah.
is
Fine
what
with
they
that.
cut down.
Yeah, that I didn't
So
have a
that would
problem
come
with.
a little bit onto the property.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, if
I'll
you
have-
wanna bring something over, I'll sign off on that. Yeah.
I can do that.
Sure.
All right, so we'll do the 6 dead trees in the brush cut.
disease, decay.
The decayed trees.
So,
What's your
I
comment?
just wanted to clarify, so that the 6 trees are in total, that were in various states of decline. There were 3 that were actually on Southbridge Road Extension. Is that a scenic road?
No, it is not.
And we said there was no contest to the 11 trees on Southbridge Road Extension.
There was none,
Is there no contest? Nobody opposed it?
no.
So then there are actually only 3 trees on the scenic road, Southbridge Road.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. So you're only cutting the 3 on the,
Yeah.
Southbridge, yeah.
And then the rest, if, based on the reaction that we've got tonight, is it worth continuing? And do you wanna see pictures of the remaining trees on Southbridge Road, or do you wanna
that's
say?
up to you. Do you wanna continue it and move forward with that? Or are you okay with our decision with the 3 dead trees on Southbridge Road? Or,
They're your
and,
Okay,
trees.
so wait,
They're your trees. We're, again, we're not trying.
well, it's not 6 because nobody opposed the other ones on the extension.
so you're
Yeah,
gonna
so
do,
It's 3, there are 3 trees that were dead, decaying, et cetera, on Southbridge Road. So it's
Okay.
only 3 trees on the scenic road.
okay, and then on extension,
On extension,
you would
there's
do all the work.
All of them.
all of the work.
It's
11
not a
trees.
scenic road.
Oh, okay. And then all the brush cutting.
Correct. Is that agreeable?
I think so.
Yeah.
So then what I would.
Do you need to come back for
The remaining trees?
the remaining trees? Will you need to come back for that, or are you good with that decision?
Based on the other ones being primarily candidates for removal based on proximity, I would say at this time that we would walk away from that.
So what about the one you just showed us? You would walk away from that one?
If you guys don't want it cut, then we just leave it.
And would prune.
We prune it to the best of the capabilities and hope for the best, yeah.
They have
And I
to.
So
think
hold the
that
tree.
would appease a lot of, the concerns here.
Okay.
I think that would make a lot of people happy and still maintain.
And that's,
So look.
honestly, that's what we're not trying to take from anybody, we're not trying to cut down trees just for the fun of it. We have our goals too, and we wanna make sure that we can maintain good relations with the people of town.
Yep, sometimes your goals are ambitious, and we need to wrangle that in a little bit because we still need to maintain the values of the community.
Understood.
Okay,
All right.
so, I'm gonna make a motion for the 3 on Southbridge.
Can you give me the description of the trees? Three.
What are we approving to cut right now?
Just to make sure.
Okay, so, tree number 12 on the list, across from poles 165 and 164, 71-inch sugar maple, Mr. Rogers sugar maple, decay. Tree number 30, across from 142 to 141, 17-inch cottonwood, trunk decay. Tree number 32, across from poles 138 to 137, 34-inch spruce, decline.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to allow them to take those 3 trees down.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. Motion passes.
Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion to do your plan on Southbridge Road Extension.
Approve the,
Yeah,
Yeah, Southwood Road Extension portion of this.
portion of it.
Yes.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker,
Oh,
aye.
hold on.
Whoop, what?
Jeff Blaze again. Can you show us on the map where the extension is? I don't. I'm
From
not-
Brookfield
So
Road.
Can you show it on the map
Oh,
so we
sorry.
can see it, please?
Right here. From Brookfield Road down to the town line is right at the cemetery, so it's right here. So it's this
where's
strip
Mr.
right
Rogers'
here.
farm is?
Right
So
Over
it's
here.
also notified
So
as
it's the
Apple
hill going
Road.
up to, and across the street.
It's
is
going
Apple.
down towards Cheney Orchard.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Where did we
Any
divide?
objections?
You seconded it, that motion?
Yeah.
I second it, yes.
All right, all in favor, right?
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion to do brush cutting on the entire project as defined by National Grid.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Okay,
All right.
And
Thank you,
just to
gentlemen. Thank
clarify,
you for-
that brush cutting was only between those 2 driveways on my property?
No, it's the whole length,
Right.
but there
The
is
whole
none
length.
up on the top part to be done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
Small stuff.
yeah.
yep.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
make a motion to close the public hearing, tree hearing.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The tree hearing is closed.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Threading the needle,
All right.
Next hearing.
All right. The Warren Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing at 6:30 PM, which is currently 7:05 PM. During its scheduled meeting to review the status of projects funded through Warren's FY 2022 and 23 Community Development Block Grant, a $1,197,000 award, including 1, the construction of School Street Improvement Project Phase 2, and 2, the Town Common Improvement Design Project, in addition to potential grant amendment to transfer approximately $31,000 in unspent and/or unallocated FY 22-23 construction funds for the use of engineering design study for Hillside Avenue will be discussed, anticipated vote. Welcome. Thank you very much. Sorry for such a long tree hearing meeting, but we did talk about how trees are very contentious in our community.
And important.
And important. We value every tree. So,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think we always try to be fair, so, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, well, good evening. I'm John O'Leary from the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. Just want to start off by thanking the Board of Selectmen for giving me the opportunity to conduct this hearing during your meeting. Just a quick background. Some of it David already mentioned, but with the assistance from the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, the Town of Warren received a fiscal year 2022-23 grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development through the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities Community Development Block Grant Program. The total value of the grant was $1,197,000. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to provide the Board of Selectmen and as well as the residents with a summary of activities funded through the grant and to discuss a potential reprogramming of these funds. So just a quick recap of the two grant activities that were funded through this project program. One was the School Street Improvement Project Phase 2.
Chief, can you have them move their conversation away from the door, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Phase 2 of School Street project was intended to rehabilitate road and sidewalk surfaces and improve stormwater drainage systems throughout the full length of School Street. Happy to report that project is substantially complete. I don't know if you had the opportunity to drive up and down the street. I think it looks great. Came out really good. So we're just in the closeout process of that. It's more invoicing kind of paperwork stuff. But the project construction itself is all completed. Another funding activity that was funded through the project is the Town Common Improvement Project. And actually, if you were here at 5, we held the kickoff initial meeting for that project. And I think that was it was well attended, and we got some good feedback to give the consultant, Weston and Sampson, direction moving forward. There will be plenty of opportunity for public input, throughout that project. But I think tonight's meeting went very well. So, in addition to the activities that were funded through this program, fortunately, the town's in a position where there's approximately $180,000 that were unspent as part of Phase 2. So with that additional money, we'd like to go back to the state to ask on behalf of the town of whether or not we would be able to reprogram that funds, or at least a portion of it, $31,000, into a design and engineering study of Hillside Ave. We identified Hillside Ave because we planning study back in fiscal year 2010-ish, around that point, there was an infrastructure planning study that was done throughout that whole neighborhood. Several years of block grant funds have gone to that, including School Street Phase 1 and Phase 2, Quabog Street, and then also we coupled that with some one-stop funds on Otis Street, Prospect Street, and then as well as additional funding from the town with Richardson in Prospect Street. So different phases, a slew of different money and funding sources, but it all went through a lot of infrastructure improvements in that neighborhood, and I think it looks really good. So that's kind of building, this design study is building off of that. And what that would allow the town to do is consider it as an activity through the FY25 grant application round, which is coming up in the spring. With the town being able to fund a design study that is favorable to the grant reviewers, that we have a project that's bid ready, shovel ready, and will score well in that application. So this is what kind of like the progress to get to that point would allow us to do. So just a quick little description on the project. The Hillside Avenue project area is the entirety of Hillside Ave from Quabog Road to Otis Street, approximately 620 feet, 25 linear feet. The work will tie into recent improvements performed in the area. That includes Otis and School Street and Quabog as well. The proposed work will include planning, design, and development of bid-ready plans and specifications for water main, storm drainage, sidewalk, and roadway improvements. An engineer will be hired to investigate the need for sanitary sewer based on previous CCTV inspections and discussions with the sewer department. Successful completion of this activity will put the town in a better position to apply for future funding through the state's CDBG program, which I kind of previously talked about. So with that being said, I'm looking to see if there's any comments, and then also ultimately for the board's approval for CMRPC to go forward and apply for, or submit for a budget amendment.
For the 31,000.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Do you have any questions, sir?
No?
No? Anybody from the public have any questions?
Got this?
Yeah. My name's Pete Crosick from 21 School Street. I have some issues on the School Street project that haven't been finished yet. I want to know if they're going to get finished. The first one is to do at the Veterans Park across the street from my house. For 10, 20 years, nobody's maintained it. The street project came out fairly nice in front of my house, but the park is in disarray. None of the brush has been cut for years. Someone from the Parks Department years ago ripped out all the hedges that used to lay out the way the park looked. And we have pictures of it on the wall down by the planning board. It doesn't look like that anymore. So if the town had an abundance of free cash this year, you would think maybe you want to consider investing in redoing that park, the way it was dedicated originally, okay? That was my first issue. The second one, at the bottom of School Street, going towards downtown, there's still one of the manhole covers still has a protective barrier over it, restricting the water. You can't go down it. The project is all done, but yet they still have a piece of plastic covering the manhole cover underneath the cover. So I think somebody should want to remove that, okay? The third thing is St. Paul Church at the bottom of the street. The handrail is broken off, the stairs are in rough shape, you can't walk down them. The town owns it. The town owns those steps. The top part, the church owns, the bottom half, the town owns. You did the whole street over, and you can't use the steps. People are walking through my yard constantly to use instead of going down the steps. So you've looked at them. I know the contractor told me he gave some kind of quote for fixing them, but it hasn't been done. So I think it needs to be addressed. The whole project's done, and that part, you can't use the steps. You have to go all the way around.
Verification that those steps belong to the town?
I don't know if we do.
You would have to.
I had it
pull the
surveyed.
line. You could determine, I know we definitely own some of them, yes.
I surveyed it twice with a registered surveyor. You absolutely own them, no question. The church knows it. You own the bottom half of those steps. There is no argument about that, at least on my part. I know you own it. But they haven't been addressed in years. They tried to get the state to do it, the church said, no, the state said it's your responsibility. So, that's just one other thing. On Prospect Street, the contractor backed into a telephone pole while doing the project a year ago. The part of the pole was replaced, but the wires are still sitting in the road right above it. The pole is still broken, they broke in half. It hasn't been, all the utilities have not been moved in over a year to the other pole. It's still sitting like that. Every time all the people that go to church have to drive by this every day or when they go to mass.
National Grid pole?
It is, and you just have to call the utilities. I did underground service. It took a month to get people to do it. That's all it took, calling people. They'll come and do it, but you gotta call them. Just letting it sit there, it doesn't get done. And on Prospect Street, there's several wires that were ripped down during the project. And they're wrapped around the poles, sitting on the ground, and they've been like that for over a year.
They're
Until-
not a power line,
No,
they're
they're probably.
utility like,
Yeah, phone or
Phone.
whatever they are.
Verizon, because they're not active.
Right, but they're,
right, yeah, they said they're not gonna
They don't
maintain the
fix
lines
them. They
anymore.
don't fix them unless a resident requests a new hookup.
Right.
And that doesn't happen.
but they're on the ground in piles in places. And it just doesn't look good. That's
So is that our
Low voltage,
response?
right? They're low voltage,
Yeah, there's no power going to those.
there's nothing at all?
No.
I know, but is that our responsibility
No,
or
it's
Verizon's?
Verizon's.
Yeah.
It's not ours.
But somebody has to call and tell them to come up there and take them out, right? That's all there is to it. It's not
Yeah,
personally.
years ago, they told us they're not gonna maintain the lines anymore, and they're done, because nobody's using landlines.
But those are they're minor issues, but except for the steps. And I just want to point out, if you walk through there, you'll see the things I'm talking about. I mean, the whole job came out fairly good, and it just needs that little bit of extra to finish it. So when people go for a walk, they're not walking by this and saying, no, you didn't finish it.
So Pete, fairly good's pretty high for you.
Yeah, it
That's a
is.
high recommendation.
So I just want, and the thing with the church steps, the church obvious don't have the money to do it, they do it themselves. But I had my property surveyed multiple times, and you can look at the state highway maps, that part, the bottom half, the biggest part of the steps is owned by the town. And the church doesn't need 12-foot wide steps.
Are they concrete steps?
They're concrete, and they're just because they're 50, 60 years old, 70 years old, that's why they just broke down. But it would make the job complete if you could find the money to fix the steps. And people wouldn't be walking through my yard all hours of the morning and at night to go around the church rather than walk around the front it would make they would actually use them, so,
Okay.
okay?
I didn't know the town owned some of the steps over there. Thank you for bringing the information to us. We find out we own things in this town that we had no clue we've owned. But we need to verify, what we actually own. I understand you did the work with your surveyor, but as you're very well aware, the town needs to utilize our resources
Sure.
to identify,
Yeah, just to make
what we own.
I registered the plans through the planning board,
Okay.
so I can tell you, they were done by someone very qualified that did
So
it.
are you talking probably like this section?
The bottom section of the steps,
Yeah, on the,
yes.
this little piece right here
Yes,
probably.
it's like 2/3 of the steps, the
Yeah.
bottom part. And the top part is probably about 8 or 10 feet long. It would only be a small portion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the town has done the other side of they did the sidewalk and other things around the back of the church. So it would just make the job complete.
Okay.
And just, I mean, like I said, the church doesn't have the money to do that, or they would do it. But but the bottom half, I said, it's.
But we can only do what is actually our
Yes,
responsibility.
and that part is, and the church would probably come up with the money to fix the last 10 steps. So,
All right,
you can
thank
talk to
sir.
the
Do you have
priest.
anything else, Ed?
No, that's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Olson, did you
Yeah,
have?
I just, consulting with
you
John,
want-
that was an issue, those stairs are not eligible through CDBG to fix them. We tried,
So we'd have to do a town article?
we would have to do a town article to do it.
Okay.
I don't think they would object at town meeting, the town residents. So if you put an
Can
article
you-
on, I don't think it'll have a problem.
Can you verify that the town owns those steps?
Yeah, I know, I'm pretty sure, he's pretty right on the money as far as where the line is. I think it's right at the top of the first landing is where the line is. Because there was a patch in between that was done with like asphalt or something, that's not ours. But the stairs themselves below that and the railing that comes down is ours.
Okay.
No.
It really comes down to users, the defined users and beneficiaries, and that's the block grant, you know. And the same thing would apply to Veterans Park. Jeremy and I, we
want-
talk about that all the time, Veterans Park. And the thing is, from the state's point of view, they're gonna look at Veterans Park as a benefit to the entire community. Whereas we surveyed all the residents of School Street who are benefiting from the School Street project. Now, the Veterans Park is a different beneficiary group, it's a different thing altogether. Although I will point out that there's an open space and recreation plan, and now it's eligible for funding.
And we
you know.
do have plans to go for a grant for that park.
I know we talked about.
And the same thing
Yeah.
It
applies
just has to come in
to
phases.
the
You
church.
can't
There's
just do
a
it all at
different
once.
beneficiary
But yeah, we
group
definitely have
that
plans for
uses the
park.
stairs to go to the church, which is
See the
different than
original
the
pictures.
beneficiary
They
group
have.
of School Street.
Yeah, it's on the wall.
So we actually all talked about that. We actually walked it through Veterans Park previously, and we looked at it, and we identified that, that it needs some upkeep.
Oh, yeah.
But it is Parks Department. It's their responsibility, because they govern all the parks. They have exclusive jurisdiction over parks. We can make recommendations, but they decide what happens with their parks.
And I took care of that park for 5 years, working for the town. So I know what it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Did you have something, Mr. Ferrari?
No.
Okay.
So the last thing we haven't addressed is what's the deal with the manhole cover? Do we know?
Yeah, I'll make sure.
There's just,
to
must be
contact-
Maybe just
filter
an
fabric
oversight?
on it.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Still open,
something-
they gotta address the punch list, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
We still
yeah,
have
there's
13
still a
days,
punch
Okay.
list in that.
There's an
that
item
one.
We
added.
still gotta do the final
Okay.
walkthrough, right?
On the agenda
Yeah.
tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. And with the Verizon lines, that has to be dealt with by Verizon. I would call Verizon and tell them, that these lines are on the ground. Cause I'm not a Verizon customer, and, they probably don't care too much about what the town has to say. I don't know if you have
No,
anything.
I've dealt with them before. The town basically has no say unless the line's going over the road. If it's pole to pole over the edge or to a house, it's actually completely on the homeowners to request that. Because I personally tried to request that, and Verizon has very adamantly denied me many times.
Yeah.
And Comcast, the same thing, they deny me all the time.
I have a line down up on my road,
Yeah.
and they haven't touched it, and that went down during the ice storm.
Yeah.
And they don't care, because they have no customers up there, so they're not even gonna go up there and bother. They've already said, was it past year ago, where they weren't maintaining their lines anymore.
Yeah, we're not actually allowed to touch them,
Yeah.
so we, as a town, we cannot touch them.
Just to let you know, you have poll hearings, and they're responsible when they agree during a poll hearing for maintenance of those polls. So, I just would
Yeah, but
remind
if we
them.
go doing something and we take it, then they get mad at us, and they come at us, and we're wrong, because we shouldn't have cut their line, or removed their line, or touched their line. So, you know, it's up to those utilities to maintain their stuff. And as a resident, I would call them and say, hey, your line's down in front of my house, please remove it, it's dangerous. And you know how to go through those procedures. I've called about the one up by our property, and they don't care. They told me outright, yeah, we're not doing anything about that. Okay. You know, so, anything else? Any other comments from anybody?
I just respectfully ask for
Yes.
a motion from the.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Sorry,
gonna-
I'm sure nobody
Yeah,
else,
yeah, no,
any
of
other
course.
public input, okay? Do you have anything, sir?
No, I don't.
Okay, do a motion.
Yep, so I'll make a motion to transfer approximately.
Reprogramming, not transfer, reprogramming.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, I'll make a motion to reprogram approximately $31,000 in unspent or unallocated FY 22-23 construction funds for the use of an engineering design study for Hillside Ave.
I'll second that, all in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, once we know and we verify that those stairs are ours,
Yeah.
maybe we should do an article.
Yeah,
for
the annual, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
See how much it would cost to fix them, and we'll do an article and have the town vote on it.
Mhm.
Right?
Got to close the hearing.
Yep.
Oh.
All right,
Oh, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. To close the public hearing, that's probably good
I'll
enough.
second that, all in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The public hearing portion is closed. Thank you, everybody, for that.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris, go try out your key, make sure
Yeah,
it
yeah.
works
Make sure it
okay.
fits the
It
door.
should fit in every door.
Yeah, we might need to do a little filing, but it should be fine. Little sandpaper. Did you lose your key already?
So we got this, can you just stay for this? Real quick, thanks.
That's the key to.
Oh my
You
God.
lost the key to the town?
Is that a box? Yeah, it's a chalkboard right here.
We'd
We
have
need
to
to make it bigger.
Yeah, bigger key next time.
Bigger key next time, we got you.
wanted it, that's why.
No, we'll have to do keyless entry for the town.
There we go.
You get a code.
All right, next thing, review and discuss a contract extension agreement between the town and A. Martins and Sons Construction, Inc., anticipated vote. So, what do we got, Mr. Farrar?
Mr. Chairman, A. Martins and Sons is looking for a contract extension till December 31st of this year to close out the project of the Phase 2 School Street. You know, it's a pretty standard agreement between the town and A. Martins and Sons.
Is this like the second extension? Or is this the first extension?
This is- I think this is just the first one.
On this project, it's the first extension.
Yeah, it says
This
number
phase-
one at the top.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything?
No,
Mr. Farrar to sign.
all right. I'll make a motion to approve the contract extension agreement between Town of Warren and A. Martins and Sons Construction, Inc., and to allow the town administrator to sign the contract.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, review and possible sign certificate of substantial completion for the School Street Phase 2 and Otis Street Improvement Project anticipated vote. Okay,
So,
Mr. Farrar?
yep, Mr. Chairman, this is for Phase 2 of the School Street and Otis Street Improvement Project. Our planning partner, CMRPC, as well as Weston and Sampson, Bill Storty, has sent over a request that a certificate of substantial completion be awarded to A. Martins and Sons for the work that they've done. There is a punch list in the back of the certificate identifying a date of an inspection and who went out there. Myself, Jeremy Olson, John O'Leary from CMRPC, Shannon Sullivan from CMRPC, Bill Storty from Weston and Sampson, attended on October 3rd, went from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We identified approximately 11 items now. I think there's going to be a 12th item with the, that was identified this evening for the manhole cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna add that 12th item?
Yes.
Who do you want to have sign this since Derek isn't here?
David can sign it.
Okay.
He's acting chair.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
ready for a motion?
Yeah, you have any questions about it?
No?
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to sign a certificate of substantial completion for the School Street Phase 2 and Otis Street improvement projects.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
They just signed town warrant.
Yep.
Just one page.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, emergency management monthly reports for October and November. How you doing, sir?
Good evening.
You've been so busy lately, we haven't seen you.
Well, yeah, I got 2 months here. Yeah, Jim McCann, Emergency Management. I got 2-month report for October and November. October 6th, we did the siren test. October 13th, received one of our items from one of our grants. It's a new pop-up tent with different sides to it. We'll be able to set that up at planned events and hand out public information and stuff and use it for emergencies if needed. There's still some more items to get on that CCP grant too, but this is one of the first ones. It's currently stored out in one of the back trailers. October 26th, assisted with the trick-or-trunk at the high school with parking and traffic control. 2 members from Warren, 2 members from Charlton, and we had 4 members from West Brookfield come down and help out. It was a pretty big event, good time. We used the light towers for that event and cones. October 13th, attended a monthly meeting in Northbridge, the EMD quarterly meeting. Agenda is attached for the report. The next day was Halloween. We did our traffic control and assisted with the fire and police parade. 4 members assisted with that. Then we go into November. We did the siren test again. Everything's been working with those good. November 5th was our big election, and we had a big turnout. The field out here was used. Also, I appreciate all the town workers that day parking in the field to give people the better parking, and the election workers worked out very good how we had everything lined up. And at night between 4 and 8 was the heaviest crowd. That field filled up for hours, just cars after cars. The other thing to think about too with that is, if the field was wet, rainy, you wouldn't be able to do that, so. We were fortunate that the field was dry, and and our light tower and the cones and signs were used, of course. I had three members at night help point traffic around, which helped out. On November 6th, we had a CERT training put on by National Grid. They had a grant that came out, was advertised out to the towns, basically the emergency management. I tried to coordinate more departments. We had to move this course a couple times. It didn't work out for certain departments, and we had to schedule the 6th of November because they had so many dates set up already. So we had six members attend. He came to this room here and did it, the PowerPoint presentation. And I tried to get it recorded too for further, but National Grid didn't allow that, so. But in the future, I'll have to try to get, if he comes around again, I'll try to get more people involved again. Hopefully it'll work out better. November 15th, well, town of Southbridge, a couple days before that, had a large fire in one of their duplexes. And they reached out to within the community to get donations. People brought some donations, but then on social media, it got out that they needed donations to a lot more people. So a lot of people were bringing bags and bags of donations and clothes, and it ended up being rooms full of clothes. That needed to be organized. There's a couple good points out of this and bad points. The bad point is you got a lot of stuff coming in that really wasn't able to be used by those people. The good part is we got all this for this area, and if something other happens, all these clothes and donations are in boxes and tubs. Say you have a family that has a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. We can go and request and look through the tubs and see if any donations would fit these families in need within this whole southern Worcester County area, from Sturbridge to Southbridge, Brookfield, Warren. I have the contact through the Harrington Emergency Management Division.
So you got that much clothing that you can now set up like a donation center?
Yep.
Or that you can, a warehouse essentially, right? where you
Yes,
can pull.
it's
That's
yes.
pretty crazy. I mean, it's awesome. Wow.
So the point out of that is to control donations in a way. I think MEMA's going to be looking at that through their resource request areas and stuff. So coming in, we're going to have probably an annex put in our emergency management plan, and other towns will do that. So say you follow this procedure to make sure you don't end up in a situation where you get too much stuff or not, or put it out in right avenues.
How many families were affected in Southbridge in that?
I think there was, quite sure, maybe 20 or 30.
Wow.
It was one of those large triple deckers.
Yeah.
Down by the old registry area there. But they were assisted through a lot of their families and stuff too. But it's good that these donations come in like this, but sometimes you could get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's just a lesson learning, but something to think about. That's pretty much what I have. No other big issues around here. That's good. But we're willing to help other communities in need.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
Good job.
thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep up the good work. And don't forget your pen. Good job.
Yeah, fell before.
Nope.
What?
You good?
Yeah, sorry.
All right,
Already on
next
to the
thing on
next
the agenda is review and discuss a possible vote to adopt an updated building delay or closing policy for storm-related events. Anticipated vote. Mr. Ferrari, you have something to add on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This policy was drafted last week and was presented to the board for review last week. Currently, we do not have a written policy. I think it would be best in the town's interest to have a clear, defined written policy. This is the draft that I have put together to deal with severe weather and the closure of town buildings.
And last week, we had this come up on the agenda, but Mr. Acker, you weren't here.
Mhm.
So we tabled it so you could review it also to
Thank
get
you.
your input, but now Derek's not here. But Derek was good with it
Yeah.
in that meeting, so.
So, okay, so just to clarify, it's gonna be the chair of the board and you are gonna consult with each other and also police, fire, highway, whatever, right? Okay, and then the communication is gonna come out of your office.
I will, once the chair and I have made a determination.
Yeah.
And then I will send that determination to the administrative assistant. And the administrative assistant will then disperse a notification to employees.
Okay.
Start a phone tree.
Yeah, or the
Okay, the
all
buttons.
department email or something, right? Yeah.
It's a text.
Mhm.
I text everybody except for Lisa DeGrease because she doesn't have a cell phone.
Okay.
So I call her, but I text everyone in one great big huge text.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, I think this is great.
Yeah.
Because there was, the last storm, there was a little too much
This,
back and
this
forth.
also, identifies, taking care of, the keyless entry,
Yeah.
when we
Building
have.
automatically unlocks at
Correct.
certain times and
Correct.
make sure it gets locked up.
Correct.
And can you do any remote administration on that?
Yes, you can.
Okay,
Yes, you can.
so if it unlocked, you could just dial in and,
No, you'd have to log
On
into
your
the
computer.
computer,
oh, you just come in remotely, okay.
Yeah.
There's no
And who's
app.
doing that?
I am.
administrative assistant.
So you need to have a laptop then.
I can do it off my home computer.
Just saying.
Yeah, I
Or,
don't think she needs a laptop just to do that, though.
or, if we are anticipating a storm coming,
I can close it
the day
early.
before,
Yeah,
then we can make some adjustments the day before.
yeah.
Take the board, well, the laptop for here.
Or can you set it like a day early?
You can
a
set it a
schedule?
day early, yeah.
So like
Yeah.
for the
You
next
can
day, you
stay, yeah.
cancel the schedule
Yeah,
or
Yes.
you can-
keep it locked? Okay.
Okay. Mr. Olson, you answer?
Jeremy Olson, Highway Surveyor. All I can ask is please communicate, because last storm, I got a phone call 15 minutes before the building was open, and every road in town was nowhere near, like, safely drivable. I mean, including High Street, and I was on top of Coy Hill, and had to leave Coy Hill to come start plowing this parking lot. And that was bad because I can't have people driving on roads that aren't safe because I'm here plowing a parking lot when a building shouldn't have been opened. That's, and so
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah,
please
that's-
communicate.
Yeah.
Communicate. And if you need somebody to be here to lock a building, I have certification, I have the cards to get in and out, and I can do that easily because I'm on the road during every weather event. I'm out on the road before it starts, and I'm on the road for hours and hours after it's done.
Well, it's
So-
electronic locks, so you
Yeah.
need access to the system.
Yeah, well, okay, well, but anyway,
Because you have to go
just
in-
flick the button.
I can
too.
come in
No,
and flick the
no,
buttons,
no.
no?
It
Oh, you have to
automatically
unlock, you have to lock.
No,
them.
it would lock this, it would lock the doors.
It doesn't lock the doors?
Only
You
after
can
hours.
unlock the
Oh,
doors.
okay.
You cannot lock the doors. You have to lock the doors through the system
Yeah.
or with a key.
Right, because tonight we would set it to lock, and then it's automatically gonna unlock in the morning without
Right.
that switch being moved.
Right,
So,
because
yeah,
that switch
you
is
got-
off.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no on switch.
No.
Right, okay.
So there's no way to lock it except through the system or with a key. So he could take his key and lock that door, and then we would have to use the key to unlock that
Correct,
door.
yeah.
Yeah,
So he,
Basically,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
is easy, cause I have myself, I mean, James McKeon, our emergency man, he's on my staff, he's all around the area all the time too.
So that's what they
I mean,
could
we
do.
can definitely handle this if it needs to be done.
But I can also just
Log in?
log in,
Yeah,
as long as I got power,
yeah. Oh, now you want power.
electricity. I don't
We'll
wanna
give her a
use
little
power.
battery backup.
I can, she lives up the street, I can pick her up and bring her down if you have.
Oh,
There you go.
One other thing, what if the power's completely out? How is there a way to,
Yes.
they wouldn't open,
We
right?
just
They
have to,
wouldn't open.
they wouldn't open.
They wouldn't
Okay.
open, if the power
So
was
if the power was
completely out,
completely out, they wouldn't even open?
they wouldn't
They stay
open.
locked.
Okay,
Perfect.
But if
that's,
the power is on, or if it comes back on, they'll be.
then it would be, yeah.
All right, so we need a motion to accept this?
Yep.
All right. I will make a motion to accept our new severe weather policy.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we don't have to worry about the communication back and forth anymore.
Thank you.
All right. Next thing on the agenda, review and discuss submitted logging proposal by JD McKinney, logging for town-owned lots on Marks Mountain. Mr. Farrar, did you
Yep, Yep,
find out anything?
yep.
there?
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, and let me just preface this. Again, this was submitted to me by a town resident, and I felt compelled to bring it to the board for an informational exercise, not to vote on, not to make a determination last week. The documents that were submitted, this proposal and this contract was drafted by this J.D. McKinney Logging of Warren. So, based on the discussion that we had at last week's meeting, I sent this out to the various departments that you had asked, tree warden, assessors, planning, conservation. Conservation and tree warden have made comments. They are in your packets this evening. Assessors, I had a conversation with Assessor Deborah Hardy. She had indicated to me that it wasn't 100% crystal clear that the town has complete ownership of what is in question here. There's probability that the town does. It would appear as though that this was a tax title situation several years ago. We would need to verify that everything has been recorded properly on this parcel to assure that the town is in fact the true owner of this, as well as the concerns that I had with Chapter 30B. Those would need to be addressed as well before any of this could be moved forward. So the purpose here was to, we're very small, we're limited staff, everybody's stretched out, and we're trying to limit things and prioritize things. So I didn't want to have staff spend a lot of time doing research, because this proposal is very unique. I've never had any experience with something like this, as well as council's never really had any experience dealing with something like this. So if the board, based on the comments here and, wants to pursue this, it certainly can. But it would take a lot of research and time from various departments to move forward.
Do you have any questions?
So,
Well, before we start, do we wanna hear from the tree warden?
well, personally, I'm not in favor of this.
Okay, but let's hear from the tree warden too.
Okay.
So the official stance on this.
Okay.
Yes, I did see this document and reviewed it, went through it in pretty good detail very quickly. Definitely does not have the wording, and, you know, essentially the town would be left in a very vulnerable position if we went forward with a contract like this. Also, as the highway surveyor, they're talking about utilizing a right-of-way that we own, which does lead up to this property, which is a unique right-of-way. It's straight up a hill, 50 feet wide, before it opens up to a wider section up top. And that first section there's no way to, let's say, get up the hill without creating a major issue, because every hill becomes a problem when it rains. And the erosion alone on this, no matter how you built this, would have to be done very well. Otherwise, we'd end up with a lot of mud and rocks in the road and in other people's property than we would then be responsible for. So I think it would take something much more extensive to allow this right-of-way to be used, especially, you know, for this purpose. I am not against logging. Everybody has to make a living, and if the situation was right and I didn't see a reason for us to utilize this property in any other way, then I wouldn't be objecting to it. But in this case, simply because of the way the right-of-way is positioned to the road and the fact that we would have to eliminate every single tree on that right-of-way in order to create a wide enough path to build this road. And I would not want to see that happen as the tree warden, because I definitely don't want to cut down all of our trees. So as my recommendation would be to say thank you for opening up our eyes to this opportunity, but I would recommend we pass and possibly utilize this right-of-way and property for something else. So, thank you.
Can you give us an approximate of where this is?
It's on Crouch Road.
Somewhere-
Now I can see. Okay.
Somewhere like in here, maybe,
So it
huh?
comes down right here. So the right-of-way literally abuts this driveway that leads to this house. It's 50 feet from his driveway to the next telephone pole,
Let's see.
and it goes straight up the hill.
Oh, so it's right here.
Right here. So, and the pitch of the topography, the hill obviously comes down. It's real steep at the
So
end.
he would be driving logging trucks
Log
right
trucks
next to that house?
Right up through this right of way, and then the grade here, actually, if you didn't want the water to go straight down the hill, it'd have to go into this property. Because that's the way the mountain slopes over here this way, and it slopes this way here. So if the water didn't go straight down, it would literally just dump right here into this property. So
Yeah.
I could never allow that to happen. You could build a road through there, but it would involve buried drainage, you know, catch basins, a lot of different things that are gonna cost a lot of money.
Would that be
And-
something good for the town to utilize as a green space for like hiking?
Absolutely.
That's a great.
I think the Community Development
Because if we
Advisory
opened it up
Committee
and put a
discussed
trail
that.
through there
Yeah.
Yeah.
and used it for hiking and maybe,
Yeah.
does it peak out?
The property
you can
in
see?
question sits at the absolute top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So
we could
if
put an
we
observation
own
deck
it,
up there?
you could build a picnic area up there with the most gorgeous view.
Yeah.
So
That
yes,
would be
I'm
amazing.
looking forward to hiking up there myself, just to see what it looks like up top.
That would
So
be amazing.
I've
Because
hiked
I
the
wanna hike
first
that
half.
when I heard about it. I didn't know we
Yeah.
owned it and I'm like,
Yeah.
that would be an amazing hike to see what the potential is. Because maybe we can utilize this with Parks Department and create a hiking trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke with, as the Community Development Advisory Committee Chairman, I spoke with CMRPC about open space recreation and different plans, and the state has a large number of grant programs that this project would fit perfect in. And they are looking for these type of projects to give towns money to do these type of things. And our community is ripe for something like this. I mean, again, this is a home run if this actually is our property. And if for some reason it isn't, there are grant programs for us to buy that property where it will not cost the town a penny. And then we can get grants to build in the right-of-way, parking area, full trail system, picnic area. It goes
That would
on.
be amazing for the town.
And there are grants, we've already been checking into it for all of that.
Yeah.
So it
It's
will
a
take
beautiful area.
time, but it's very much possible.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
And then we can guarantee it's preserved.
absolutely.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, it totally goes in with the master plan, right? The master plan talks about like, how do you make the community more livable, more attractive, more useful for the residents? This is like perfect, right?
Yeah.
It is, it's perfect. We've been looking for this for years, and
I know a
we
guy
never
who's
knew it was
awesome
here.
doing trails.
I got bigger equipment than that little toy that I got.
I'll bet you
You
do.
think you're up for that one?
Likes a challenge.
No, it sounds great, and I know Mr. Blease's opinion, he expressed it, last meeting, he was very much in opposition of removing any trees on this property. I had some concern with just select logging to clean it up a little bit, to open it up a little bit as far as like allowing other trees to grow. Cause sometimes you gotta take down some of these bigger trees, the problem ones, to let everything else and keep the forest healthy.
Yeah,
And basically, when you're putting a trail in, you gotta have at least minimum 7-foot high clearance above you, clear from the ground to the trail all the way up. So some of the tree branches that overhang and everything will have to be pared back.
Yeah. But it's not like going in and logging it.
No.
No, yeah,
no.
yeah.
So-
You will have to remove some trees, yes, if they're dead and they're rotting and they're in the path of the trail, yeah, you're gonna have to take those out. But you're not gonna clear cut anything, you're not gonna do selective cutting or anything like that, it's just what's not healthy in that trail path.
So Jeremy, would the grant pay for activities like that? Like
Yes,
tree
yes,
removal or
yes.
pruning or,
Yes.
whatever? Yeah,
Yes, it will,
okay.
yes.
Very good.
Wow, that's really great.
So, you know, I'm not in favor of removing the trees either. I wanna keep green space in this town. This is why people move here, is for the green. And not a bunch of steel and metal plates stuck in the middle of the woods and all this other stuff being built. I am adamant about keeping it green. And I think opening it up for people to be able to enjoy, residents, especially on the top of Marks Mountain,
Yeah,
that would be beautiful. Because we don't really have any good mountain trails around here.
no.
We have trails, but nothing that goes up on the top of a mountain.
And
Well,
it-
we have Devil's Peak, but it's private.
yeah,
it's
it
private.
used to be
You
town
can't
owned.
get there.
See, we didn't know we owned this.
Yeah, this is cool.
This is why when they brought it up, and we're like, we own that? Okay.
So maybe that's the first thing now, is to dig a little deeper into this
Yes.
and figure
Let's
out.
definitely
'cause
verify if we
Before we
own
can
this.
do grants or anything, we gotta solidify our ownership.
I believe this is the piece of property that you asked about off tax title a while ago, in 1976.
Oh, the one that was on tax title for the past 50-something years?
I believe this is the property. And Mr. Farrar said it was landlocked, which is correct, because there is no way to access it except through us.
Yeah.
Which, if there's an easement, it's probably only a recreational easement then,
I'm not sure what these.
if there is.
There, I didn't see a written easement in it, but
But to
again,
access-
this is,
For
yeah,
us to access
it,
the
yeah.
property,
No, yeah,
we gotta be able to access it.
Yeah, and they'd have to come through us to access it, and whoever, we could allow an outside party to build a roadway, an access way through there, but it has to be, if we allowed that from an outside party, it would have to be to Mass DOT standards. Where if we were utilizing it for recreation, completely different set of standards. So it's not like it needs to be a 20-foot wide road with sidewalks and everything else. We're talking, now it's recreation, there's a lot of flexibility to it. Well, it wouldn't be dirt because it's too steep of a grade. Because you're still gonna deal with a lot of erosion, so it'll have to be a paved road, but it doesn't have to be a very big one. It can be like basically a driveway, so, which would save a lot of money, but there'd still have to be drainage. Again, there are grants that will pay for this, so.
That's awesome. So this is very exciting news.
Yeah.
Let's definitely find out, and make sure that we own it, and see if there's a recreational easement or easement on the property to be able to access it, because we need to be able to get to it through the road.
Yep.
And see what we can do with that, because that would be amazing to open that up for trails. So. Then Mr. Dusty would be able to just hike up the mountain anytime he
Oh,
wants.
he'll be thrilled.
And I don't see you too happy about it.
No, I would be thrilled too, I hike.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. So the big no on the trees being removed, right?
Correct, yeah. So tell them, thank you for the proposal,
Okay.
but we politely decline.
Thank you for identifying a piece of property that we didn't know we owned, but.
Yeah, actually, that's the thing, is I'm appreciative to them, because
Yeah.
if they didn't present this,
We wouldn't
we
know.
wouldn't have no idea that this was there.
And we've talked about something like this a while ago. It'd be nice to like go up on Devil's Mountain, you know, and see. But Mark's Mountain is pretty good too.
It's the third highest peak in town. It's just below Southbridge Road and Coy Hill, but only by like 50 feet. It's like 1,100 feet high almost, above sea level.
But it has a sheer rock face at one point, right?
One side of it, the other side isn't. So there's room to get on top easily.
Which if it was accessible, would be a nice area for rock climbers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Potential. All right, moving on. Next thing, review a quote from Mass Core for U-shaped maple desks for Selectmen's meeting room with a possible vote to use ARPA funds to complete the project anticipated vote. Okay, yes, well, last week this came up and we're looking at use of ARPA funds and what could be utilized for other projects also other than this. And Mr. Ferrari did some research,
Yep.
reached out.
So we had the Mass Corps in here last week and doing some measurements within the meeting room. And we had sent the plan to our building commissioner because I wanted to make sure that what is being looked at and proposed here will make the meeting room ADA compliant. And so the building commissioner came back and submitted this plan with some notes on it, as long as both the sides of the entryways are at least 36 inches away from the wall in the table. That would be enough, as well as from the rear of the, where the chairs are, to the wall of 36 inches, that would be sufficient. If those pathways are clear with 36 inches, the plan is approved, and he had signed it, Bill Cantel, on December 16th.
Okay. And did we get any other outreach from any other departments for potential use of ARPA?
So, the only other request that I had received was from the police department. Police department had asked for $500 for a printer for a patrol car, as well as there's another quote in here for
360.
a 360 building and remodeling for the construction of a quilt box for the quilt that is currently in storage and is looking to be displayed at the Shepherd Building.
Okay. Do we have enough money to take care of all of these projects?
Yes.
Okay, including putting,
Yes, including the putting the owl inverted on the ceiling.
okay.
I wasn't aware of how much money was available, but we're actually looking to have Tantascwa come in and wire up 3 garage doors and run a new power system to the back of the highway department. And they're doing the work for free. We have to cover the cost of the materials. I don't have a materials list right this minute, but we were gonna have to try and squeeze that money out of our regular budget, but if there's a little bit of money available, that would be very helpful.
Well, this has to be voted on
Right,
tonight.
Tonight?
There's, Jeremy, there's some money put aside for repair and maintenance of town buildings.
Okay,
So depending on how much,
Yeah.
you know, we're looking for,
couple thousand is what they
Screw it,
quoted.
black for a minute.
we will have that.
Okay, okay, that's fine,
So
yeah.
if you
'cause-
wanna work with me on that, we can,
Perfect.
we can make that happen.
Okay,
And the concern with, I know there was concern about the desk, it's, we need something ADA compliant, because that was something else we got gigged on when, the gentleman here did their study on ADA compliancy, and they said that table, because
Oh, it
if we move that
sticks
table
No, it
out from
has to be
front of
there.
the TV,
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, the table has to.
it has to be there. If we move the table away from the TV, it's no longer ADA compliant because a wheelchair or somebody with accessibility needs could bump the TV and get hurt. But putting the table there makes it ADA compliant. These desks are not ADA compliant because you can't get a wheelchair underneath it and you can't get around it. And with the wiring and everything, there's problems with ADA compliancy. And the big thing was is you couldn't get a wheelchair to go underneath the desk. And the mobility issues and stuff with that, so they're not ADA compliant. And we've been trying to meet that compliancy with a lot of the projects that we've been doing, because anything new we do, we have to make sure we thread that line and make sure it's ADA compliant for the town. Because we could set up a lawsuit if we get an elected official that comes in here and can't use this office, and then we can get sued.
So, this is almost gonna be like an island in a kitchen, right? There's gonna be this surface, the desktop comes out, right? There's nothing underneath it, so it's one continuous open
There are
area under there?
2 brackets.
Oh,
Three
there are.
brackets.
It's not shown on here, right?
Yeah, it's. If you turn the page. These are the brackets,
Oh, but they don't, okay.
okay? And
But
they
where
go,
are they?
He said about right here and about right there.
Okay.
And then on the front of it, you have a 6-inch, isn't that what he said?
I think so, yeah.
A 6-inch lip up top so that it hides all your paperwork.
Yeah, okay. And how much room between people? Any idea?
It depends on the, you know, it depends on the, you know, the width of these chairs, you know.
I mean, for
Well, you
like this,
figure it's
this
gonna add
board,
more room, because we're eliminating these now, these gaps.
yeah,
And we'll be closer together, but we're also gonna be
yeah.
spanned out. But
What's
these gaps are gonna be missing, which is just dead space.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, we cut through 'em,
136 inches, 163 inches across. So then you have 5 chairs spanned, and it's an arch, so it's actually even bigger than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could fit five people on it, but you could probably squeeze it in enough to put a sixth on the end if you need to for somebody to do notes, if you
Right.
got tighter in, but.
Or we keep like, you know, a table or a desk on the
Or
side.
use that table. Or put a desk over there for the secretary for planning.
I guess, yeah. Okay.
And we got enough to cover all these projects.
Yes.
So tell me again, we're doing the big desk, we're doing.
So it would be the U-shaped, desks, for $9,040. It would be the $500 printer for the, police, and it would be, the quilt box for $4,900.
Okay.
Where's the quilt box gonna go? Like in the hallway
In
somewhere?
the hallway.
Okay.
Hang that nice quilt up. I'm good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Ready for a motion?
Did Derek?
Derek, expressed that he would like to see it happen.
Okay.
He was very concerned with the ADA compliancy and, felt that that was a thing that we need to comply with.
Well, that's our 36-inch borders,
Yes.
right?
And getting underneath.
Yeah,
the
right,
wheelchair.
right, yeah.
So this plan, as noted by our building commissioner, will be submitted to MassCore and say, as long as you meet with these standards, then we'll approve the order.
So it looks
And
like.
just make sure that, I understand you have to get a wheelchair under there and everything, but I hope this thing's not made so it's up here. So
Yeah.
now we have to get onto a bench to see over.
No, I don't think,
As long as it's,
I think it's lower.
No, it's,
what's the height of?
I don't think there's a height, right?
Yeah, I didn't see a height. Oh, wait. 30 inches.
Yeah.
which is the top of a desk.
30 inches, yeah.
So you don't have these, you don't have the drawers, you don't have
Yeah.
anything, so you're at the top of the desk.
And to be honest, all people are doing is throwing junk in these drawers. Like, trash.
See, that's kind of, see, I've got, like, I have cough drops over here, it's very important.
You have cough drops?
Yeah,
I don't have cough drops.
well, if you're ever coughing, I'll give you one.
I don't need a cough.
You can have a little cup underneath your 6 inches and have your cough drops in there. Yelp minor.
So it looks like in the plan, though, it's 48 on either side, which is more than
Well,
we
they
need.
didn't account for the heat,
Yeah, so
Oh.
it's not quite 48 on that
but as
side.
long as it's 36.
Yeah, I mean, what is that, maybe 8 inches?
Well, we only need 36 on one side, because ADA can come in on one side and go
Oh.
out on one side. You don't have to have it on both sides.
But it's gotta be centered, otherwise it's gonna look stupid.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, you don't have to have it.
Yeah,
No, but we could achieve it.
but even if
Yeah.
that was 8 inches, now you've got 44 and 44.
Right.
Right.
So you're well within,
36 inches.
yeah, and then,
Yeah, see, on the map, he thought that the old bookcase was still there. And I explained to
Mm.
Bill that it
Yeah,
was
it's
not
gone.
there, that's why we got the 48 inches.
okay.
Because remember, there used to be a bookcase right here,
And so 36,
from the back of the chair.
So this would have to go forward
Yeah,
a little
everything's
more.
gonna go Little more.
We'd have to go forward a little more, but
yeah.
But you would, then your chair would still slide underneath the desk, so you could still,
Yeah,
right,
okay.
and we would get our compliancy.
Oh, and then the other thing is we're putting that thing in the ceiling, right? That's the fourth piece.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be out of there.
So we don't have to worry about that anymore. 'Cause that's, even today, I was kind of rushing people away from it because one of our residents was getting real close to it, about to trip over it, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
don't trip over it.
Now
Don't
that
want to
is
see her
gonna,
fall either, you know?
moving that up to the ceiling, that is gonna take some work and some
Right.
creativity and,
Yeah, but that's, it's used in a lot of the meetings, and it keeps on being brought out and out and out.
Yeah.
And what was that thing? It was like $5,000 or something like that?
Oh, no, like 1,000,
Oh, it was 1,000?
yeah.
Still, it's $1,000, we don't have to
Yeah.
spend again if we just,
But we've already had to replace one of the USB cord because it just keeps,
Pulling in and
wiggling.
out.
Yeah, so once it's up there, it'll be set.
yeah. All right, you good?
Yeah, so what, are we doing a motion on,
Approve all said projects.
all right, so I'll make a motion to, what?
I think you have a a person wanting to talk.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, did you have something, Ray? I asked before, and nobody said anything.
Yeah, and then I decided.
Oh, okay.
Decided
You have something, sir?
I have something to say. Ray Capago, resident. I just want to clarify the process for the approval, because there's two things in the agenda for the desk and for the quilt box, which is the next coming up agenda item. But then there's also the police printer
Yes.
and the owl mounting. And so I just wanted to understand the process for that. And then, on top of that, do we know how much funding there is in the, how much ARPA funds are available right now?
$16,500.
And do you have a total, what would be left over if the 4 items that we've already discussed are approved?
There's probably not gonna be much, if any, depending on the inverted, camera.
Owl.
The owl, you're probably, right there, maybe $500 left, if that.
So do we have a number for the owl installation?
I have some quotes, I'm hopeful that, I can have everything finalized by December 31st.
Yeah, where I'm leading with all this is, since the money's there, it'd be a shame to not take advantage of all of it. And if there's, so could I ask what the quote that you got for, do you know the quote for the owl installation?
I think it was, oh, no, I don't. I have to have the electrician come in. I've got some quotes for some wall mounts that have come in. There was a few $100s for the wall mounts.
Okay.
It depends on the size, because the ceiling, because we have to
Yeah.
attach it to the actual wood. We can't attach it to the actual drop ceiling. So it has to go up like 3.5, 4 feet
Yeah,
and push it through.
yeah. I guess all I was getting at was that if the owl mount only cost $1,000 and there was another $1,000 left over, I know it has to be obligated before the end of the year, and that's my point. I'm just trying to see if there was any consideration for taking advantage of every dollar.
Yeah, we're trying to look at for everything, and that's why other departments, we got other
Right.
feedback from other departments, and only a couple things came through, and
I never saw any emails or anything about this. This is the first time I've heard about any of this right now. And I'm running one of the biggest departments in town.
And-
I'm just saying,
So,
I didn't know.
so I guess I'd have a suggestion that depending on the final project cost for the owl installation, if there were remaining funds that, for example, there was discussion about getting like a laptop for this room's use. If your motion can allow for an unspecified amount for the owl project, and there's an add-in for the police printer, and by the way, I'm not opposed to any of the things that are being suggested. I guess I'm asking, could the board consider making their motion such that they could also include, just for example, any funds in excess of the determined projects if they could cover, for example, a laptop for this room's use for the various
Actually,
boards.
pretty good idea.
Or some electrical components for the highway department's new
Or something. I know, you have to be,
front doors. I mean, I know it has to be specific.
you have to be specific about it, and so I just wanted
We just
to,
need to get quotes.
I
That's-
know, well,
yeah,
Tantasco gave us a quote of $2,000, but that was 7 months ago, and who knows if it's still the same price.
yeah, I know there wouldn't be $2,000 available.
No, I know that. It wouldn't matter, that's just.
Because what's been identified so far is somewhere in the neighborhood of $14,400.
$14,440.
Yeah.
Now, so there's approximately $2,000 there that is in question. That doesn't take into consideration the owl.
I understand.
And I have no idea how much electrical that would be, you know,
So we have
for
to
the
have an
cost.
outlet installed with a switch to turn it on and off.
So I don't think that there's a ton of money left over.
Okay,
So,
okay.
And,
Just-
and that's if none of these projects have any additional costs.
Okay.
You know,
so is there a way, I know where you're going.
Okay.
Is there a way to dedicate undedicated funds to another project? So if we end up with $600, can we dedicate that $600 to, say, the laptop? Or Jeremy's electrical component, if he has that?
If you wanna give me the authorization to do that.
Yeah.
Why send the money back?
Right.
No, we don't wanna
Don't
send
send him
money
any money back.
No.
We use every penny. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I would just say, we already have money for computers, which this laptop is covered under, right? So I would say, give the money to highway.
Jeremy.
It'll help. We
Yes,
still gotta
it'll
pull,
help.
pull some money from elsewhere, but it'll get them a little closer. And
Can you get me a quote for the electrical work?
I will call, I'll reach back out to Tantasco tomorrow and see if they can give me,
And
lock it down.
I'll say with this stipulation, if you can't get the quote in time, do the laptop.
Yeah,
Dedicate the money somewhere.
yeah.
Spend it.
Yeah, because I have to have these all have to be documented as agreements by December 31st of committed money. So, you know, MassCore, all I gotta do is sign this thing. This other quote that you got for, the quilt box, just have to sign it. The police thing, we can just order that online. The inverted thing is gonna take some time to get, and we'll get the electrician to do, to give me a quote there and just sign it. And then if you get me a quote, then we can.
Do we have to authorize you to sign on our behalf on these projects?
Yes.
On said projects, okay.
Mhm.
We'll add that in there too. Okay. So yes, this is a tricky motion.
So this is 8 and 9, is that what we're looking at?
Mm-hmm. Well, part of 9A,
9A, yeah.
So we're
not
addressing.
9. Just 9A.
8 and 9, well,
Mm-mm.
8
Yes.
and 9A.
yes. Okay.
9 should not have
Do we
this
have to do
ARPA
those as
funds.
separate motions,
Yeah,
or can
why?
we do all of them as one motion?
Why has 9 got ARPA in it?
It shouldn't. I had taken that out and it's posted correctly, so.
Okay. That's-
Okay. So this is 8.
This is 8 and 9A.
8 and 9, okay.
So if we could just take a motion to allow the town administrator to sign on the town's behalf for the remaining ARPA funds for the identified projects, MassCore U-shaped maple desk in the Selectmen's meeting room, police, $500 for the printer for the police cruiser, quilt box for $4,900, and the inverted owl with electrical components. And if there's any money left over to work with the highway surveyor on the project for the electrical doors
Installation for
for the garage doors. If there's no money left over, I got another area for them.
Perfect.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
There you go, we did it.
The motion is approved.
All right,
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
And we don't
listen
wanna
to
get
that one
back in
several
that.
times.
Yeah, slow it down.
I gotta get to bed.
Yeah, get that
I got
going.
up at 4, so.
Good night, Jeremy.
Good night.
See ya.
Thank you.
All right.
all right, so now, can we go to 9, please?
Yes.
Review a quote from Encore Fire Protection for repair work that needs to be completed in the boxing room at the Shepherd Municipal, Shepherd Building, with a possible vote to use.
No, not ARPA
No?
funds.
No.
So a possible vote, and what we're gonna be doing is to
Possible
you,
vote.
with a possible vote, we're gonna, the identified source here would be, the maintenance and repair of town buildings, article that has been approved at town meeting. So the quote is, for $4,992.44, and that is to do the work that is needed, the replacement of heat detectors, the wiring, as well as some piping that needs to be done in the boxing room.
They're repairing that electrical wiring that's
Correct.
hanging down?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's pictures in your packet.
Okay, so,
Yeah, that's something we talked about a while ago. That we killed the mold, we did everything else in there. Alright,
okay, so I have a motion?
you have a motion?
All right. So I move that we use funds from the building maintenance account,
Building maintenance and repair account.
maintenance and repair account, to pay for the Encore Fire Protection quote that involves repair work to the boxing room in the Shepherd Building.
I'll second that, all in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing on the agenda, discussion of a wage authorization for Mr. Travis Rivera, candidate for an operator mechanic position at the wastewater treatment plant, to start at a PW2, step 1, and upon obtaining an operator license at the grade 4 or higher, will be removed to a PW2, step 3. Okay, Mr. Farrar, you have something on
Yep,
this?
thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So, we're excited to bring before you, this evening, candidate, Travis Rivera, who has been hired, by the, sewer commissioners on a conditional offer, basing it upon this wage authorization, for him to be authorized, to start at, $23.98 per hour, at a step 1, and then upon reactivation of his wastewater license that had recently went inactive, he would then be automatically moved to a step 3 upon him providing such certification that he has obtained the license, which would be at $25.44 an hour.
And this is per the recommendation of the wastewater treatment plant,
Correct.
and he has experience because he previously had one.
He had a license, his license expired, and he just needs to reactivate it. And a condition of his employment is to obtain this license within 3 months.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, I think it's good. Give him a bonus if he does.
Gets his license back and
Yeah.
meets the next requirement, right? I think it's fair.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Travis Rivera as an operator/mechanic at the wastewater treatment plant and start him at a PW2 step 1, when he obtains his operator license at a grade 4 or higher, he will be moved to PW2, step 3.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, review and discuss the proposed adoption of a procurement policy for all departments to follow. Anticipated vote. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So this was before you last week for consideration. There was some formatting issues that were addressed, as well as a review done by town council. Town council has signed off on it on the signature page, and it is in front of the board for consideration this evening.
I know from last week's meeting, Mr. Feliz was good with this.
Yep, okay.
And the formatting, the formatting has been done, and it looks like something we need to definitely have.
Yeah,
Closes that gap of procedures.
right. Okay, I'm good with it.
Do you wanna make a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion to adopt the procurement policy for the town.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. Okay. Next thing, review of a letter from the town administrator to the Warren Patrolmen's Association, Local 195, about contract negotiations starting in January. Mr. Farrar?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As pretty much standard protocol, with the collective bargaining agreement set to expire on June 30th of next year, and with the anticipation of fiscal year 26 budget process commencing shortly, I'm requesting that we start discussions on a successor agreement starting next month. And I'm asking the association to submit their on-the-record proposals to me in writing by no later than January 22nd of '25. And I had presented a draft letter for the board's consideration. Typically, how this would happen is that we would send this out. We would ask them to write down what they're thinking and what their proposals are. And prior to that, the board and myself, meaning the Board of Selectmen and myself, would sit in an executive session, and we would discuss what the board's goals and objectives were, and what they wanted to potentially negotiate with the Patrolmen's Union. And we would set up that executive session probably sometime in January, probably before the 22nd.
So this is just us, and then, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so we would make some decisions, and then we would
So
end up
just-
negotiating with the union.
Like they
then,
did
right?
before, they had a chance to make proposals. We review those proposals. If it's something that the town agrees with, then we would move forward with that.
Mhm.
Or if it's something that we couldn't, we would
Counter.
negotiate and go back
Yeah.
and forth. And it's a negotiation. But this letter is just meeting the requirements of the collective bargaining agreement to identify that it's coming up for expiration. And in good faith, we are looking to engage in
A
collective
successor
bargaining.
agreement.
Right,
Yeah.
and negotiate the contract. Now, they can come back and say, we have no new conditions, we're good, and the contract would remain, and we would vote on renewing the contract as is.
Mhm.
Or they might come back and say, well, we want gold-plated cruisers, and we want a helicopter, and we want this, and of course, we would sit there and negotiate that.
The helicopter's kinda cool.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't say how big.
Yeah, right. You did not specify.
So yes, and this does meet the requirements, because do they have a notification period of the
I
collective
looked in
bargaining
I looked in
agreement?
the agreement, I couldn't see one.
Okay,
Um,
because typically there's a,
Typically there is, you know, I didn't see one.
okay,
But I, you know, in anticipation of the budget season starting, I just wanted to kind of get ahead of the curve a little bit.
Yeah.
we don't want them working without a contract and then, you know. So this is us doing our due diligence.
Yep.
Yes. I think the letter looks good, and since there is no negotiated time period for notification of a contract expiration, you're good.
I couldn't find one.
Yeah, as long as there's nothing saying you gotta notify us within 60 days of the expiration of the contract.
Well, we're well in advance of that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there. So
Yeah.
we're good.
Okay,
Right.
So I can send the letter out.
yeah.
Okay, all right,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Okay. Discussion and vote to accept the common victicular license for the following. And that's to make a motion.
Can I make one motion?
You
You
have
have
to
to-
make one on each.
On each of the addresses, yeah.
You can't do it as a group.
All right, and I think it's Vittle, right?
No, it's victicular.
No, I think that's how you pronounce it, though. Anybody have any idea?
Common Vic, that's how I always.
Common Vic, that's
Yeah.
what we're doing, okay.
Well, you can't refer as that. You just say the name.
What?
You can't abbreviate.
I'm gonna say that,
You can't say in particular?
I don't know if it's right. So if I'm saying it
What's the
wrong,
word?
You're right. David's right.
are you sure?
Yes.
It's what it says on the license. I mean, but.
I know, but how do you pronounce that word?
The way it's written.
Okay. All right, so moving on, right? I'll make a motion to accept a common victular license for All Town Market at 1300 West Main Street, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Vote to, make a motion to accept the common victular license for Dunkin' Donuts at 1300 West Main Street, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Dip N Donuts?
Let's dip in.
Dippin'.
It doesn't
Dip
have an
in.
E. Did you do it?
Not dip in. Is it EN?
No, you did it, okay, this is correct. It's
Yeah.
2 I's.
Well, sorry.
Okay, so, motion to, grant a common victicular license for Dippin' Donuts at 2370 Main Street, West Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye. You gotta say aye.
Aye. David Dufresne, aye. So, I'm reading.
Make a motion to grant a common victular license for George's Pizza at 991 Main Street, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Make a motion to grant a common victular license for Mason's Grill at 1400 Milton O'Fountain Way, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, next thing on the agenda. Discussion and vote to accept Class 3 and Class 2 for the following. This is,
All right, so I'll make a motion.
no, what, 1 second.
Holy moly, okay,
I do have a question on next gen, so when you get there.
okay.
Yeah, because next gen, they're beyond a Class 2, right?
No.
No.
You have class two.
No,
Nope, they're
they're
class
only
two.
class 2. My question is, they just got their license approved. Are we going to really charge them another $100 to have their license for 2025 when they only have had their license not even a month, you know, because of the special permits and everything.
I don't know, I'm not in favor of that. Charging them again. So we would just renew it and,
We would just renew it and not charge them.
yeah.
So that's the only motion that would be different.
It's up to you guys.
It doesn't seem fair to charge them when they only had it for
Yeah.
a month, when everybody else had theirs for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm good with that in the motion.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to renew the Class 2 and Class 3 licenses for Copart of Connecticut at 600 Old West Warren Road, West Warren, Massachusetts.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
All right, I'll make a motion to renew the Class 2 and Class 3 licenses for Copart of Connecticut at 656 Old West Warren Road, West Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Make a motion to renew the Class 3 license for Copart of Connecticut at 436 Old West Warren Road, West Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Make a motion to renew the Class 2 and Class 3 licenses for Warren Truck and Auto Repair at 550 Main Street, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Make a motion to renew the Class 2 license for Mike's Automotive at 434 Boston Post Road, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Make a motion to renew the Class 2 license for Service Auto Body at 27 Spring Street, West Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Make a motion to renew the Class 2 and Class 3 licenses for Como's Inc. at 2400 Main Street, West Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Make a motion to renew the Class 2 and Class 3 licenses for Fegel's Junkyard at 388 Old West Warren Road, West Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes.
Make a motion to renew the Class 3 license for Fegel's Garage at 366 Boston Post Road, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes.
Make a motion to renew the Class 2 license of Subaguru of Massachusetts LLC at 114 South Street, West Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes.
I'll make a motion to renew the Class 2 license and waive the fee for 2025 for Next Gen Parts Place LLC, 764 Main Street, Warren, Mass.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes. Oof, all right. Got through all those. All right. Warrants and bills. Warrants.
Make a motion to pay the following warrants. PR 19, $112,187.32. PR 19A, $2,964. AP 25, $75,596.76. AP
You said $96.
$75,594.76. AP 25A, $342,696.21.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes.
Make a motion to pay the following bills. Weston and Sampson, $8,936. Entree Technology, $2,729.71. BG Mechanical, $1,610.25. Modern Pest, $108. BEC Plumbing, $2,155.75. Comcast, $272.89. National Grid, $2,185.74. Commonwealth of Mass Department of Fire Services, $300, and True Value, $19.98.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion's passed. Minutes. None.
No
Reviewed.
minutes.
There's nothing available. Town Administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have a brief report to the board. Number one, the painting project at the Shepherd Building is moving along. As you can see, we're at over 50% completion on that project. He is, our local painter is gonna be moving into this room starting tomorrow, and we'll be working in this room as well as the entryways for both sides and doing some touch-up as well. We're hoping to have this project wrapped up by early next week. And we have duct and vent cleaning coming tomorrow at the senior center to do that project. For the cleaning of the ducts and the hoods. On Wednesday of this week, I met in the morning. We had a meeting with the Ware Business Association and Beyond community over at Cedarbrook and Ware. Myself and town manager Stuart Beckley of Ware were in attendance, as well as the business community. And I was able, we give a oral report of what's going on in our community. Stuart and myself from Warren, we give an oral report to the business community and this organization, and we report on the happenings that are happening in town. One of the things that I highlighted in this month's meeting was our tax rate and our tax classification, and all of the good things that has happened because of that, and the stabilization of the tax rate and taxes in town. So that was a very positive story to tell to this community. There are local realtors that are part of this organization that, again, they can start, talking up the town, and we're gonna try to continue to sell up the town, as well as some business owners that are in this organization. So again, it's led by Dan Flynn from the Ware River News, and he puts it on, and I've been making it a point to participate. It's from 8 in the morning until 9 in the morning to go to these meetings to talk up the town. And so I just wanted to report on that. Also, this Wednesday, we had a staff recognition we invited everybody down for some lunch, some pizza and salad, and it was well attended, and just a thank you for everybody's hard work this year. So that's pretty much what we have for this week in terms of the report, and happy to any questions.
Wow. No, I'm very impressed about the whole Ware. I'll tell you right now, Ware is doing amazing with their town. The business and everything that they're doing in that town, and the way they decorate.
Yeah, it looks,
throughout their
downtown looks
community.
beautiful.
Downtown looks great.
Yeah.
They have been doing a great job, and now they got a Tractor Supply moving in. Yeah, that is not good
Where?
for me. Before Walmart, on the left.
It's kind of across from the high school, roughly.
Huh.
Piece
They're
of forest.
clearing it all, and they're gonna put a
Well, I
Tractor
saw them
Supply in
clear
it.
it all, I didn't know that. That
Yeah,
was
there's already a
cool.
foundation in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're definitely doing pretty good in their town. Good job. And thank you very much for talking us up with Ware River News, and.
I know.
Hopefully.
Jim got to do some bragging, huh? Look at our tax rate, look at our free cash.
Well, he has a lot to brag about,
Yeah.
you know?
It's important that the business community and people that may not be familiar with the town understand what's going on here.
And everybody that's in this building, police department, fire department, ambulance, highway department, sewer department, water departments, everybody's doing a great,
Yeah.
they'll take water departments out of there. But, everybody else is doing really great.
So,
We can't talk about water departments, that's not ours, so.
how many towns are involved in this group?
So myself, Stuart, and Hardwick,
Oh, okay.
and Palmer, Palmer.
Palmer, okay.
Hardwick just did a nice path along their river with an overlook. Spent a lot of money on that.
Really?
Yeah. You haven't been there?
No, is it downtown or
Yeah, they got like
or by
they
the
got a nice,
mills there?
real nice walking trail going along the river. But then on the top, when you first turn around,
Oh.
there's like almost like a gazebo overlooking the river there, and you can go up in that and overlook, get the view
So
of the river.
it's after you go through downtown,
Yes,
right? On the way to like Hardwick Crossing.
if you go, yeah, you're
Yeah,
going towards
okay.
like Hardwick Farmers Co-op,
Yeah, yeah,
it's on the right-hand side,
yeah, okay,
yeah,
Yeah, there's a Cumberland's kitty corner from it.
yeah.
yeah. All right.
No, it looks
Cool.
good. They're doing a good job. That'd be nice something to have up on the top of Marks Mountain, path like that, and a little,
A Tractor Supply?
no, but it'd be awesome to have a Tractor Supply in town. Again, not a good thing for me, because I spend a lot of money. I spend way too much money there. All right, great job, Mr. Ferrara, thank you for your report.
It truly was short. He wasn't kidding.
I know, when he said short, I'm like, oh.
We've heard that before.
Do you have anything else for him?
No, I don't think so.
All right, good,
Yeah, that's all set, yeah.
Okay.
That's the police thing.
okay.
Oh, and, I do have one other thing in there. Thank you, Karen, for
This is
reminding me
the
of that.
hour now.
So I do want to give a brief email to the board that is in your packet. And it was from Detective Matt Moran. And he was just going over all of the stuff that has transpired with the toy drive. And he just wanted to alert us that, 75 children in need were assisted in the toy drive efforts. And so from all of the departments, from Jimmy McKeon to CERT to police and Lisa from CERT, everybody who was involved, really, it was a group effort, it was a team effort. And I sent a note to Detective Moran, and I CC'd the chief this afternoon, just thanking him for taking the lead on this initiative, in investing the time and following through. So, he's notified me of the happenings of this project from the beginning. He certainly didn't have to, but he did. And he's really put the time and effort, as well as these other individuals that are mentioned in this letter. Thank everybody for helping out in the holiday season.
Yeah, I mean, very good, thank you.
We could have helped a lot more. There's still lots of toys downstairs.
But that's all that needed it, huh? There's only 75?
That's signed up.
Wow. Okay. I guess that's a good thing that we don't have more needy children.
Well, I think that they're gonna use these toys in the future for future drives, for next
Absolutely.
year.
Yeah,
It will start as a base for their,
yeah,
their efforts for next year.
yep.
No, they do an awesome job. They do a really good job. And again, Jimmy McKeon and Lisa Mundell, he wants to really thank them for all their help and everything they've done. Great job. So,
Yeah.
cool. Anything else, sir?
No, and there is some information on that printer in your packet as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. All right, do you have anything?
No.
And, any new business? Do you have any, sir?
Nope. I do not.
Old business? Well, do you have any new business?
No old business.
No old business?
No.
Do you have any old business? No? Now you have, the steps. The steps going down in front of the shops.
So
What's going on with that?
I've drafted a notice to the business owners, and Karen is gonna get them out tomorrow, for
They're all out, I just
Oh,
have to
they're-
get
they're-
stamped.
okay,
Well, they're,
alright.
I have to buy some stamps.
stamps, okay. So they'll get out tomorrow, for them notifying them not to, use, salt or chemicals on the concrete, to use straight sand on the concrete. And I will work with, I have a meeting with Jeremy, that I would like to meet with him next week to talk to him about the
Yeah, the metal
The metal
plates,
strip
because I was
ones.
over there today and the screws and stuff are coming up,
Yeah.
and that can catch
Yeah.
the tread of somebody's
Yeah.
shoe and
I'm gonna
fall down
ask
the
Jeremy if
stairs.
I can meet with him, next week on it.
Chief, do you know if we had anybody fall on those stairs lately?
I mean, we did when I first started, remember
Yes, we
that?
did, yeah.
Yeah.
And we wanna avoid that because people are upset about it. And with the use of all the salt and the calcium chloride there, it eats up that concrete.
Yeah. So that notice is going out tomorrow.
Yeah, I not only sent it to the shop owners and everything else, I sent it to the owners of the buildings.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Because some of them have apartments up front, so it's not just the shop owners, so.
And again, I know they wanna be safe and everything, but that stuff eats the concrete and ruins them.
Oh, yeah.
And probably not the best design in the first place for that, so.
And I'll get with Jeremy next week on the treads.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, because a lot of them are broken
Mhm.
and they're moving. I was looking at them, there's several of them, I'm like, just take them off. And some of them have already been removed. And then like, some of the stairs have the metal there and then it's just concrete. So it's like uneven.
Mhm.
We just wanna get on top of that so we don't get in another lawsuit. All right, that's all I had for, old business. Correspondence, do we have any? No? Comments and concerns, did you have any?
I do not.
Okay.
I'll
Anybody
say
from public?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Joe did send you just a brief note, it was underneath your,
Joe Conrad?
yeah, it was in the, with the forestry, just talking about slippery slope.
Yeah, he expressed that he had a lot of concern from his experience in logging and stuff. I seen him today about that, and he was opposed to the trees being removed
Yeah.
on Marks Mountain.
Hmm.
But that tree warden dealt with. So no comments and concerns. The only comments, concerns I have are, everybody have a magnificent Christmas and enjoy the holidays with your families and loved ones, and everybody be safe, and if you drink, don't drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that, next meeting is Thursday, to be determined. It will be in January sometime, probably.
I didn't know if we were doing one on the 2nd or we were waiting till the 9th.
No, we're not doing a second.
The 9th.
The 9th.
Yeah.
Okay, so January 9th, that's
Yeah,
what I needed to
January
know.
9th. All right,
Wow, 25, 1/9/25. We'll see you next year.
see you New Year. All right,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. Then we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.